squad, turn that shit off, man.
This is NFL Network.
Hey, this is David Kaplan.
Be at 20 for the Bears.
Exactly, Greg.
Oh my God!
This is crazy.
I am in heaven!
What?
If the dude's a fucking pussy.
Concept-wise, his run game doesn't match with his pass game.
This is Matt Waldman.
This is only Cruz.
This is Paige DeMacco, CEO of the Draft Network.
Rasheed Davis, former Chicago Bears wide receiver.
Hey, my name's Rashawn Whitfield, the footwork king.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan All here with the Chicago Bears.
You're keeping it 100 with Shayne and Phil.
Keeping it 100 with Phil and Shayne.
You're listening to my guys Shayne and Phil on
Keeping It 100.
Draft Doctor Phil.
The following show is for mature audiences only. Shy City Sports.
Watch the tape, and when you see the tape, you know the tape doesn't lie, and the tape doesn't lie.
So important, like you said, you can sit there and 90% of the people, I would say 98% of the people watch the quarterback. The ball is snapped and their eyes are focused on the quarterback and where the ball is going. Are you looking at that, Phil? Exactly.
No. But again, like, a lot of people haven't had the experience of watching a game with me.
Sure. But that's what I'm saying. That's what, and I'm not just trying to pub our Patreon here, but that's what you're going to learn on there. It's how to take your eyes off the ball. And then you learn things. Phil and Coach O will open your eyes, and Berlissimo will open your eyes to, like, holy shit, I didn't even realize that this is what I should be looking at. And you can't just go to a game box score and see that Khalil Mack had 0 sacks and 4 tackles and come away with, oh, he didn't do his job today. No, he really actually dominated the fucking game.
Coaching in general. It's like, not everybody's going to buy in. It's up to that head coach to create a culture that truly is what Ted Phillips has never been, a man of integrity. That you guys go out there and play the game of football for the city, for your teammates, for your families, and most importantly for the Chicago Bears. If you can't get that level of understanding, then you shouldn't be in my locker room. If you don't love this game of football, if you don't look in the mirror and say, I cannot wait till Sunday. I'm going to play I'm going to give my all every play. That's what this is about. At some point, players lose interest. Eddie Jackson, his most underrated player, is the most overrated player. Eddie has something to prove. Is Eddie going to fall in line with the loafs? Is Eddie going to fall in line with the hits? That's up to Eddie. There's no questioning the guy's talent. But you can't be on television. You can't be around young players. You can't be around a culture talking about tackling doesn't matter. Anybody can tackle. And then you go out there and not tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. That to me, that was a surprise. The whole process was an interesting process in that it looked like they were doing a better job than the previous search, because for one thing, Bill Polian is just a more accomplished guy than Ernie Accorsi, so they were ahead of the game right from there. And then they were casting a much wider net on both searches, but they were going a little too heavy with the coaching search, because I don't know. I think a team like the Bears, some teams can get away with doing the whole, where the coach has maybe as much or more authority than the GM. The Bears just aren't good enough at football and good enough at managing people to be able to do it that way. They need a president of football operations who hires the GM, a GM who hires the coach, and then it has to be very standard. And to me, they were looking too much for the coach first. That was kind of that was a red flag in my mind. But a few things bothered me about the search. One thing, it was almost exclusively on Zoom, which I think is a problem when you're trying to hire people. If you've ever been in any kind of management situation where you're hiring people, there's a much bigger difference between doing something on like we're doing now and meeting you face to face and seeing your body language and shaking your hand and looking you in the eye. And even George Payton mentioned that. I covered or monitored the Broncos press conference when they introduced Hackett, and he made a point of they went all over the place. They flew out to all their people to get one-on-one interviews instead of doing the whole Zoom thing. And we don't know how that will work out. But all I'm saying is, as a process, that seems like a smart way to do it. And at least he had an appreciation for how they did it. I thought the Bears only talked to one GM candidate in person. They canceled the two other in-person interviews because they thought they found their guys. And I'm kind of feeling I'm preaching to the choir here. This is not an organization that has great intuition about people to begin with.
Right.
So that was a red flag to me that they hired that even after casting this wider net, they ended up boom. So they all of a sudden they know what they're looking for. Well, history shows they don't know what they're looking for. Was the process from GM to coach, and the idea that a 37-year-old GM who's worked his whole career to become a GM, all of a sudden in one day knows when he finds his guy. I mean, that could happen. I mean, that could be that Eberflus is the guy. He could be the next Bill Belichick for all we know. I don't know. I'm just saying is based on previous experience, I don't trust them. I don't trust that the Bears hired the guy who knows in one day that he's found his guy, and it just so happens to be a guy who was on their original list who they hired. So I guess to answer your question is the road to Eberflus kind of was concerning to me, I guess, and that's only based on previous experience. So we'll see what happens. It could turn out to be great, but it's again based on previous experiences. You guys know this would be odd. It's just not their style to do it this way. Absolutely. And when you talk about, like I was mentioning about how like when you're in person reading the room kind of thing versus something on Zoom, which that thing could have been on Zoom a year ago or 6 months ago, whatever. But if you were in there, the awkwardness that they handled that question, both Eberflus and Poles, was to me an eye-opener. I mean, that's something that I put in the back of my head and say, I'm going to remember this a year from now or 2 years, how awkward those responses were. These are two guys who they pretty much, it wasn't the most awesome press conference in the world, and it didn't have to be. But still, they're pretty good. They know what's coming. They should, and I'm sure they knew that was coming. And there was just, I can't explain it or define it. I'm struggling here, but all I'm saying is there was an awkwardness with the way they answered that question that kind of that people it didn't soothe people's feelings. If people were worried about, hey, was this a done deal or was this a special kind of deal? It didn't help that situation. People are, like you said, people are still going to be wondering if that was a deal if these guys don't work out. Something else, as they proved with Jerry Angelo and Lovie Smith, you can still get it right.
Yes.
So they can get it right. Like I always say, the Glazers know much less rooted in football than the Hallis and the McCaskies. I mean, and they've won 2 Super Bowls since the Bears have. You can still win. So this has become very polar. This whole Bears thing in this last year or so, because every time it seems like the blowback of the kind of the Kool-Aid drinking Bear fans is much more vociferous, I think, than we've seen before. And even all these debates, is it Nagy or Pace, or is it Nagy or Trubisky? You're seeing battle lines drawn, and it's this is much different than even 5-10 years ago of the way this is being discussed. It's all very polar. It's like the political environment, and everybody has their sides, and you get a lot of blowback, especially now with social media on Twitter.
fan.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Chicago's trading up.
100.
Yes!
What? Here it is! Just reported.
There's no competition.
Keeping it 100.
I know we need to run the ball more. I'm not an idiot.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition.
Keeping it 100.
The smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. The dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shayne's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shayne got some haters. But now they're mouth stuffed like the true and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks trolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shayne. 100's what we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the upstairs. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Max Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun day. We're back better than ever and we're keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Draft Dr.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Shayne, Money Man Marsaw, and the
This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports Keeping It 100. Listen, with the combine in full swing, and we got free agency around the corner, we got a lot to talk about tonight. So, of course, we got another great show for you. We got coming back by popular demand from ABC 7 Chicago, Dionne Miller is here. And then popping his Keeping It 100 cherry from It's a Bigs podcast, and the Bears beat reporter Herb Howard is here. So let's bring on the boys, Shayne, the smartest man Marsaw, and Draft Dr. Phil.
Cherie took over for Claude last week and fucking hit it right on the fucking mark.
I saw all your reactions. I must have.
His mic was muted.
We didn't even get the yo.
Oh,
It was
we
like
didn't?
There was no
lip
yo.
sync. It was
Yo,
like
do it
Milli
again.
Vanilli.
Run the whole intro back. We'll do it again.
Let's do it again.
What's up, boys?
Can we get one? Yo, this is Claudio the Barber.
With the music. Here we
No,
go.
just do it. Ready?
All right.
Yeah.
Give him the countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Yo!
Welcome
Just
back.
giving what the fans what they want. That's it.
Yeah, he didn't even give it to him. He had to press that button. Claudio.
What's
Claudio's
up, boys?
back.
What's up? Yes,
The
I missed you
Barber.
guys. Can't believe you guys were able to do that show without me last week, but you did a good job. Good job.
Oh, Cherie's busy becoming a fucking superstar.
She is.
She's doing.
You mean Alicia
Blocking
Keys?
everybody.
Yeah.
You mean Alicia Keys?
Oh my God.
Alicia Keys. She's got more blocks than Leno's ever had. I'll tell you that. Got a great show tonight.
Yes.
How about our superstar Shayne.
Yeah.
Rocking out with babysitting services included.
That's right.
On the Adam Rank Show.
Yeah, little junior rank took it over last night.
Yes.
Kid's a superstar. Hopefully his dad's getting him some ice cream tonight.
Cold Stone. It's got to be Cold
Stone.
You know you're rich if you're going to Cold Stone. You got an extra bonus. Jackal's like, don't hate on, because he's rich. Jackal's got a lot of cash.
Dude, motherfucker doesn't even have real books. He's saving all his money.
He couldn't buy real books.
Wasting money on fucking books, he says.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, great job repping TTNL. And I got to shout out the fans to start the show. You know, you guys going to these other shows and representing the truth. That's what we just call it. You can call yourself 100 Crew, TTNL head, Shayne head. I won't say Cherie head because then Jackal might get a divorce. There he is. Just look, there he is.
Still on mute.
Still on mute. Speaking of which, Shayne, great job. Shout out to the fans.
Yeah, they showed up, man.
They show up every time.
I felt like we were doing Keeping It 100 last night. I would look down in the chat and I'm like, hey, I know that guy. I know that lady. Seen that name before. See that one. And Rank knew it. He's like, yeah, this is, we get
You don't do a show on Wednesday night talking Bears.
He's like, we have the TTNL guys on. We know our chat room's gonna be hopping, and they know we travel very well.
Yes,
and
I
like Bear fans. Bear fans
Listen,
travel very well.
You guys are rocking the swag. I'm getting pics from people. You guys are just unbelievable. I'm gonna shout you all out again at the end of the show, but I just wanted to say that because in this day and age where a lot of misinformation becomes the information, that TTNL has stood its ground to fight. You know, as the song says, keeping it 100. If you listen to the lyrics, I think I captured the essence of this network, this show, and I'm so proud of what we do here. Everything original, music, production, getting these guests, you fans. So I just wanted to take that time out. I was so proud of Shayne, you know, repping the brand and everything we stand for here, and you fans as well. And I'm never, ever going to short side you guys for the support you guys have for TTNL. Just like I always speak the truth. You're going to have haters out there, but usually they're hating because they're probably your biggest fan for some reason. But that being said, we intend to continue to deliver the mail, just like Shayne does every day. We're going to deliver, you know, with no BHL and instant reaction. Obviously, the combine is here. The Bears are, we got pressers to talk about. We got Dionne Miller of ABC and Herb Howard popping his cherry, as Claudio said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to get into the Bears discussion, but I'm just letting you know, guys, if you missed patron shows, X's with the O, we broke down Akeem Hicks. We broke down James Daniels this past weekend, Khalil Mack. We intend to break down Bilal Nichols and Alec Ogletree this Saturday, breaking down that tape on X's with the O's. And then we got another guest coming on Draft Mob. We're also going to release the last interview with Shayne and Berlissimo
tomorrow night,
8 p.m. You're going to see what Draft Mob is about. Again, you are telling the truth when I say this network nailed the draft coverage last year, and we are challenging our guys, our analysts, to do the same thing. We don't want consensus, we want analysis. So that's what we're going to be doing, breaking down the draft. And then we got exciting news. I honestly am putting this out into the universe tonight. I've been in the studio doing so many takes to get my breath right for a new song. TTNL, Cool Kennedy, real quick production. The I would say it's going to be the anthem of the network. That's where I go. And one of you patrons is going to be in the song. So, and you don't even know it yet. So
that means it's not you, Greg Braggs.
It's definitely not Greg Braggs, who's totally switched from football and sports to
He's
Purdue basketball.
Yeah. He left me a text today, and he's like, "I'm going to make a major announcement. Fuck the Bears. I'm full Purdue." So,
Cars is phoning in. He has a message for Greg.
You fuck yourself.
Yes, that's from Cars. I
Eloquently
like this
put.
technology. You can record messages and send them. Listen, the chat room is strong tonight, and
it was
Cherie
hopping
and
before the show even started. We were in the green room pre-showtime, and Claudio goes, "Oh shit, 40 seconds." We had like no fucking clue at all. We were dealing with some technical difficulties behind the scenes, but that's how it goes, man. You pull off a 3 or 4 hour unscripted show. Phil and I are pretty used to this. It's, I went obviously on Rank's show last night, and it's fun to see the different, things that go into different shows. And still to this day, and I know Phil can speak on it too, when you talk to people and they're like, all right, so you guys, must have pre-show meetings and write down, have a show book, all that stuff. No, we don't.
I don't even have one question.
Yeah. Phil and I talked on the phone today for an hour, and I don't even know if we brought the show up 1 second today, and I'm dead serious.
No,
Did we talk about the show at all?
No. I don't even know what you're going to ask.
Yeah, me either. No idea. I just know I got to let you get your first 41 in, and then it's fucking go time.
You get a couple in there.
Apparently, Rank texted me. He's like, "Don't let him fool you. Shayne talks a lot more than you."
Yeah, hell yeah.
Everybody's gonna hate on me.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, there she is.
Cherie, you're getting warmed up. You're getting the pipes warmed up,
primed, moisturized, and ready to go for that Manscaped read, right, Cherie?
Manscaped read ready. I don't know if any other show, and this was brought up to me not by a Bears fan, but by a Washington Redskins fan. Oh, they're not the Redskins. They're the Commanders, right?
Commanders, yeah.
Strike that last thing from the court, Your Honor. Strike that last thing. He's a Washington Commanders fan, and he's like, "Bro, I watch your show every week. I'm not even a fan of the Bears, but I got to say this. You guys have more sayings that go for things like curl. Yo, this is all of it." And I forget all of them. He had a list. So drop that in the chat. Your favorite thing. You're on the air, whatever it is. I want to know what it is that you hear when you think of this show. That stuff matters to me. Like when I think of Mary Poppins.
Ben thinks we workshop our lines, Phil.
I don't have any workshop. I don't even know what I'm going to ask Dionne Miller. I don't even have a question lined up for her. I just go in the spirit of the moment. That's true. Give me some
nobody
names.
likes Braggs.
Nobody likes Braggs. That's a famous line on this show.
It is. Cap's telling it straight.
Braggs ruined football video of training camp for the world.
He did.
Nah, but I'm going to blame the Bears for being Gestapo. Maybe Poles and Eberflus won't worry about Santa's sleigh and shorts being run and giving a team an advantage. We'll see. We'll ask
I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, but we'll see.
I'm going to see. Like, real quick, before we get to one of our family member, one of our favorite guests, Dionne Miller, real quick. I can't I used to go to the Jets training camp, Patriots camp, Giants camp with my dad. They never worried about anybody and still don't.
Well, that's when you're that paranoid to think that it's going to make a difference. That means that you have bigger problems that you should be focused on. I mean, when you're worried about the fans with their Android and iPhones, recording your play. I mean, can you imagine if Matt Nagy's plays from training camp got out there? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the pure chaos that would have happened in the NFL? Oh my goodness. It would have been terrible.
Exactly. That is the story. This story is going to be written someday. I don't know by who, but the backstory of Matt, the shoe salesman Nagy, will be told. You guys know real quick that it's time, though. Our guest is in the waiting room. Jackal didn't have a platter or bottle service or anything ready for her in our green room. It's virtual, so I'll let him off the hook. I'm going to introduce this guest the way we do here at TTNL and the way she deserves to be introduced every time she enters a building or anywhere. In fact, Hallis Hall, send this to I'm Just a Fan George. Make him play it when she enters the room to ask questions. Listen, she's ABC7 Chicago's Dionne Miller.
After the debacle we witnessed on Sunday Night Football versus the Rams, we could use someone to brighten up the TTNL studios. So we made a call, and we're bringing in the best TTNL fans. This lady has found the wise. She knows them, just like most of us do. And we didn't even need to collaborate about it. Bears fans, get up out your seats and let's give a proper TTNL welcome to ABC7 Chicago's very own Dionne Miller.
There she is.
It continues to be my favorite thing. I mean, I love it so much, you guys. I love it so much. How are you? Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to see you guys.
We missed you.
Yeah.
Same.
We never got the whys.
We never got the whys. Did you guys all have PTSD when you heard Eberflus say that in his introductory press conference?
Yeah, we were
like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh." I mean, what is going on?
We actually were the translators that he was actually not asking for the why. He was telling, I'm going to give you the why.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the whys.
It actually was a mic drop moment for us covering it because like, okay, he figured out looking at this ass what was going on, and I'm bringing all the whys. That's why I got the
We
job.
were still caught in the haze that the Bears decided to straw out Ted Phillips again. That's where we were.
Oh, I know. There he sat. You guys, it was like, it was deja vu.
Yeah,
for like
sure
how many times now? Every coach they've hired, it's like here's Ted in the corner and here's George sitting up there smiling about how great of a job they did together. It just it doesn't feel different enough. It doesn't feel different enough.
I took my daughter to her pediatrician that morning, and when all of the news broke, of course, as soon as I left the house, so I said to Phil, I'm like, they did it, and he's like, oh man, here we go, we're gonna get ramped up, and he's like, you think they're gonna strut Ted out there? And I'm like, oh. If they do, it's the wrong move, but a little bit beyond that, and I know we'll get into this just a little bit later, but I think they made up for it when they made the right move by bringing Justin Fields out afterwards. I thought that was 100% the right move.
That spoke so loudly to me as well, because the last time we saw Justin, I mean, you guys watched him throughout the season. The first couple of press conferences, he was all like smiles and energy, and then those last few weeks before he was injured and unable to talk to us, but like he just looked defeated. He looked defeated. He looked like he didn't have any answers and he didn't know what was going on. And it's just that him to come out and kind of be that leadership voice, I think is huge for him, for his confidence, for the way that this is kind of a clean slate for everybody. I thought that was a big deal too, for sure.
I think it is. I think it's a fundamental shift for the entire franchise because it's not about a middle linebacker. It's not about a running back. It's not. I mean, there was a point when Kyle Long, an offensive guard, was the face of the franchise.
Absolutely.
And I mean, now here we are, 2022. We have a young quarterback with huge upside, and he's the face of the franchise. And the organization realizes that. So, hey, if it's baby steps, we'll take it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think that's where we're at.
I think that they don't. The hard thing is when you hear them talk about, well, like hearing Poles talk yesterday at the combine, and he was talking about how they have 30 expiring contracts on their roster. This is a rebuild. And when you say what do you see on your roster right now, and you named 3 people, it's like, okay, wow, you got a lot of work to do. I mean, outside of Fields and Roquan and Darnell Mooney, like that was it. That was all he talked about. Which made me think that maybe George wasn't so crazy the year before when he was on that Darnell Mooney kick. Remember, he was like, he's just the greatest thing ever. I was like, really? That's not what I would have picked out. But to have the new guys talk about him too, and the way that he plays and the charisma he has, I just found that very interesting.
That Mooney shows up on tape.
Yeah.
And when you look at the lack of leadership and the neglect at the receiver position, even from a standpoint of Allen Robinson being a veteran presence, he loafed out there. Whereas Darnell Mooney, I mean, I break down the tape like nobody else. There could be a play away, and he's running down the field trying to make a block for David Montgomery. That kind of stuff, when a new person comes in and they start watching the tape, analyzing their loaf's philosophy, their hits philosophy, and like, I could tell you who is going to be okay right now. It's Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery, Justin Fields, and let's look at the rest of it. And Roquan. Yeah. Those are the guys that I know are passing that test that they're looking at. And it says a lot about, they're saying all the right things.
I know. So
I know we jumped into Darnell. I don't want to skip that, but I wanted to start with the coach because I think it's the most important thing in football, especially on the professional level, because there needs to be a culture change.
Yeah.
And when you are sitting in the room, like, no, you right there, you have access. We don't. I mean, I could send you some notes to ask, but
I would love it if you did. If I had like a weekly question.
Oh, don't tempt us, Dionne.
And nobody knew that you guys.
You've already. It's done. Jackal, write it now. A weekly question to Dionne from TTNL. Mm-hmm. But Eberflus, your feelings. Like, forget the questions. There's going to be coach speak. No one's winning pressers and then winning Super Bowls because of them. But I know that you as a reporter, and you've been around the game of football coming from Ohio. I know that. And Cleveland, my uncle coached there. So you have a feeling of a room of football. What do you feel about Eberflus?
My first thought in hearing him talk and like seeing him in person was that he was a cross between Matt Nagy and Mark Trestman. And because I say that because he was all about like the feels and the relationships, which was a la Trestman, right? It was all about, are we all on the kumbaya? And then he said a lot of the same coach speak and philosophy that Nagy had. And maybe he's the right combination. I hear nothing but wonderful things out of Indianapolis about him. Nothing. Like, I have a dear friend who covers the team there, and he's good friends with Matt Eberflus, plays in his golf tournament. Like, he knows this guy. He said, you are going to love him. He gets everybody's attention. He gets them all on the same page. And I was messaging with a couple players after he was hired, like, hey, can you give me anything? Like, tell us anything about him. And they said he changed the way they play the game. And I feel like that is, if that's the message that he's sending to this team, they should be excited about that, because that is different. Yeah. That's not somebody trying to figure it out. It's somebody who's prepared for it. And that's the other thing I heard in his introductory press conference was that he's ready to be a head coach. He's been waiting a long time for this. Even yesterday, coming back to Indy as a head coach, he said, I've been preparing for this for 30 years. And Matt Nagy was almost thrown into it before he was prepared to be a head coach, I think. And that was part of the reason that he struggled. He didn't have the experience that Eberflus does. Yes, not as a head coach, but he has the experience of years of being in a system, of being at every single level, of winning at every single level. And he's bringing all of that with him. And that's going to get players' attention, even more so having great players from Indianapolis screaming the praises of Eberflus. That's going to echo in a Bears locker room when somebody new is coming in. So those are my impressions of him. I liked even yesterday the way he answers questions. They're not going to give us much. They never are, guys. Like, why are we trying to get something special out of them? It's not going to be that way. But when he was talking a little bit about like what do you expect out of your 3 technique, right? And he said it so matter-of-factly. And he's like, I just expect you to be here and here. And it was just like he was coaching us to do it. And it was like, okay,
Gotta
I
get in
understand
B
that.
gap, Dionne.
But right. But I think that the thing I got about that was that he'll meet them where they're at, if that makes sense. Like that's the way that sounded to me. He was like, if I can say it this way, I'm just gonna say it this way. And I think he can read the room well enough to know that he can connect with these guys and get out of the best out of them. And I think he's ready for that. I think he's hiring the right people around him. They're not gonna wow us with these super entertaining press conferences. That's never gonna happen. I wish that it would. I mean, it'd be so much fun, but at the same time, that's not what it's about. It's about winning games. And I think that we have to give them the benefit of the doubt to see if they can.
Yeah, totally. I used to love listening to Phil Emery talk because he'd go on forever and he'd get detailed. And I'm like, wow, this is great. But then the product and pretty much everything else beyond that point was terrible. But to me, what I think is very, very important, and Phil mentioned it a little bit, talking about a mic drop moment. For me, it was, and you alluded to it a little bit too, saying that he's been doing this for 31 years, waiting for this moment. He could have easily came out and said, "Oh yeah, this is going to be my defense. I'm going to be calling the plays," and he ended all speculation right up front. He's like, "No, I was hired to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears," and that was X number 1 for Matt Nagy. He wasn't worried about Justin Fields being the face of the franchise. He wanted to be the guy that came up with Santa's sleigh. He wanted to be the superstar. You can't build your team that way. And I heard Eberflus say it. I mean, I have my reservations. I've been burnt plenty of times with the Chicago Bears. A lot of fans just think, change is going to lead to something better. And normally it's the same old, same old. These guys, at least they're saying the right things. Now you got to show me that you're going to do the right things.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I appreciated that about Eberflus too, like understanding the role of a head coach.
Yep.
And I think that that's again where Nagy did not. He didn't have enough time to, like, he didn't call plays long enough to even be allowed to be in that position, frankly. I mean, I love that he got the opportunity, and I can tell why he won the room when they interviewed Nagy, but he didn't have the resume to back it up the way I feel like Eberflus does, even on a defensive side. And for him to just be like, I'm going to be the head coach. Like, gosh, that's what this group needs, right? It's just going to look so starkly different, even in a matter of 3 weeks, you guys. This roster is going to look so different. And I'm anxious to see how they kind of put their stamp on it and bring in the kind of guys that they want. They know what they're looking for. And I'm interested to see how they'll build this team, the depth of it, especially because Poles is way into being kind of like sit back and watch free agency unfold. Like, let everybody else go crazy, and then I'm going to find the guys that work for me. And I kind of like that. I think that's a little bit entertaining to kind of see how he strategically plans this and goes after the right guy for what he wants to do. Sorry, I'm all over the place tonight. What did you guys think of what he talked about with the offensive line? Like wanting to change like their body structure and make them faster.
Reading my mind here, Dionne. It's crazy.
We're right here.
Well, I was going to ask you.
We are right here.
We are, because that's what I was going to say. There's certain things foundationally that you have to win in the NFL. And it all starts up front. And you got to have a coach that's holding Khalil Mack accountable the same way Patrick Scales or the kicker is held. Everybody. And that message and those expectations, they're saying all the right things. This moment for me, for Poles to basically double down, because I forget, it was in The Athletic where he talked about being so disheartened watching the Chicago Bears allow Justin Fields to get smashed, lay on the ground, no one go over and help him. And then have the moment where Tevin Jenkins is the only one showing the kind of pride an offensive lineman should have. They're a bodyguard. And Fetty dropping and ruining the whole moment for every
and then
Bears fan.
And then he's made a captain the next week.
And then he's the exactly. The whole combination of that. Then to hear Poles now drop the hammer on, we are going to be in shape. Now, we've talked about Mustafa. We've talked about Whitehair. Both of them look like they're out of shape. They lack the fundamentals because they're not in the best of shapes. This holding everybody on that same line, that excites me because that's, that comment where he said, get your track shoes on, is going to be consistent where it matters most at your offensive line. David Montgomery is so good on a team with bad offensive line. Imagine if their philosophy and they're in shape and they know what they're doing, what's going to happen. I really think this is how you build a football team, and that really is a huge thing for me, and I guess for you, to hear polls say we're going to draft players that are going to be in shape and play to the whistle. I could see.
Totally. I think that I like that he doesn't have any emotional attachment to the guys that are already there, because he's going to see really quickly if they aren't going to keep up with what he wants to do, or they're not committed to getting in the kind of shape that he's going to demand from them, that it's goodbye. Like, he doesn't have time for that. And he might be young, and it was so cute is the wrong word. Sorry, I'm an older woman. Cute is what I'm going to say. But when he came in yesterday to sit down to talk to us, and there's microphone on top of microphone, and he's like, hold up, I got to take a picture of this. So he like snaps a photo of it and sits down and says, not in Kansas City anymore. I mean, it was just like so right. And it was like that moment of, okay, it's all becoming so real. I mean, can you imagine? He's 36 years old. He gets this incredible opportunity. And a month later, he's literally rubbing elbows with all the other GMs and head coaches in the league, and he belongs there. And it's like, what a whirlwind, right? Like, I'm sitting there looking at his shoes. I'm like, did you go shopping? Like, you're a millionaire now. Like, what just happened? Like, it's just, like how do you wrap your brain around that? And I just appreciate the way that he has been so honest about that stuff. But I did like what he said about the offensive line. And it was such an indictment on this last crew that was there that kept talking about how we're going to get these guys to do this, this, and this. And they didn't it was just words. It wasn't action. I feel like these guys are already saying we're going to say it, but we're also going to do it. And we know that these are just words because we're going to show you. And I think that gives me a little bit more hope than I would just listening to them, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's hope.
Let me double down on this, only because when I played football at Hofstra, and this is back in 1993, 94, they had a cryogenic machine. I don't even know how to describe it because it's probably it's so like old now, like iPhone 1. But back then you got into this thing in your underwear and you sat there in the water, and they got your BMI and your body fat percentage and everything. And based on your height, they came back. This is where your ideal playing weight should be. This is how much muscle. This is back in 94 at Hofstra University in Long Island. So to look at the Chicago Bears that are a professional football team, and Shayne and I get a lot of shit because we're always showing the tape. That becomes our standard. This can't be this isn't real. You guys are negative. Then we show them, no, look at Charles Leno, sloppy, lazy, falling down. I don't care that he got paid by Washington. Look at this. This is going on in Chicago, to your point, and they're not holding these players to a weight standard and something in a job. This is their livelihood. So you're a parent. So this is basically my point. You're a parent. If your kid isn't up to par, it's up to you, the parent, right? To say, listen, you have to hold them accountable. It's the same thing in football on every level. So I'm excited that there is going to be fines and weights that are defined for their brand. I just think that alone is going to get you 2-3 more wins if your team's in shape. My father has always said it. The winning is determined by determination. If you've worked your ass off and you're in the best shape of, all of us know as athletes, if you're in the best shape, your confidence is at all time. That's what your goal should be. Right? Right. You're not making dumb plays, because when you're out of shape, you're
you're getting penalties because you're reaching or you're not
Exactly.
ahead of the game. You know what I mean? And that defines what we saw so much from the Bears over the last couple of seasons, just making mistakes they know not to make. And they were tired. They didn't look engaged. It was somewhere in there. I mean, they lost touch of that because it was there. I felt like it was there in 18, but then I'm wondering, was it just that Khalil was so good and the defense was so good and I was just brainwashed into thinking the rest? It was like such a great, like, you know, it masked all the crap that was going on that just became more evident and more evident and more evident. And I don't know, the way things unfolded this year with Nagy, it felt like, I mean, we have not talked in a very long time, but like, it wasn't all Mitch's fault. I felt like, I mean, Mitch couldn't do what they wanted him to do, but it was not all his fault. And he didn't need to be held accountable for all of that. They did. There was their inability.
It's like someone said that before.
I mean, their inability to like be flexible. It's just unbelievable. And poor Mitch. I mean, he's properly cast now as a backup quarterback. That's where he is. That's his space. That's his space to thrive.
Agree.
Congratulations. Gonna be a dad. Love it all. Go
Maybe
Mitch.
he'll be a Steeler.
But he was miscast as a starting quarterback, and then he was not helped. They didn't put him in the right position to succeed. So I mean, we have to give this new Matt and Ryan a chance to do it. I mean, you guys, that's so weird. Can we all
How weird is that?
It's so weird. It's so weird. And then
do you want to hear it real quick?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Ryan and Matt are men of character.
It doesn't have to change.
Right.
It always stays the same.
I did ask Ryan Poles. I was like, so is stuff in your office monogrammed already? Like, do you guys just walk in and they didn't even really laugh. I'm like, you guys, this is really ironic.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're not laughing at your
It
joke.
took George 30 seconds in the presser to figure out what somebody was talking about. I was like, oh.
So
he got
so
defensive
weird.
as shit.
Yeah.
I know he did. I
never saw him sort of.
He was like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, so it's weird. It's so weird. Even yesterday, more than one writer, we were all writing our stories. And I mean, I wrote Ryan Pace. Somebody else did too. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute. Poles, I mean, it's like.
Yeah, Adam Hope talked about it today. He's like, I wrote Bears' new general manager, Ryan Pace. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. And
it's RP. It's
RP.
How did I know? Of all the people to pick, it's
how's it RP?
It's a Seinfeld episode. It's so true. Oh my god,
Chicago, they don't want to pay.
It's so
Replace
crazy.
Ryan and Matt.
So when they bring in this new regime, Dionne, has anything? It's probably too early to even ask this, but in terms of the media, has anything changed with you guys? Is there any different sort of policies? I know, because I mean, we've heard stories here and there that we all know how the Bears have been, and I mean,
oh my gosh,
my family are all Philadelphia Eagles fans, and I know when Doug Peterson was there, he would have like weekend seminars in the off season for the media. He would bring them in with Flip when he was there and put all 22 footage up on the screen. Say, hey, this is what you guys should be looking at if you're going to be writing about my football team. I want you to experience this. I want you to see this. And I said, to me, that stuff matters.
That's brilliant. That matters. Yes, that matters.
There's so many people out there that have no idea, and they're writing about the football team. But has there been any type of policy change in terms of media with the new regime? So
not as of yet. Not as of yet. I mean, I'll be curious when. I mean, because you know how paranoid Nagy was. I mean, you guys joked about it. Like, God forbid, practice video from training camp in shorts gets out there in the world.
Can you imagine?
You might not win 6 games this year. Woo! Wow! I don't know what you'll do. But I don't know if they'll change that sort of policy. Like, if they'll allow us to see a little bit more. I don't know. I really have no idea, because he's a first-time head coach. I don't know. I'm just afraid somebody inside is going to influence him and say,
does that fall under Ryan Poles' decision? Is he the guy
who's in charge of that
makes those shots, or is that?
I would love to know. I mean,
is it Ted? Ryan Poles?
You know what? It probably is Ted.
It has to be Ted.
It has to be Ted.
He's always trying to control the story.
Yes, it has to be Ted, because it makes no sense. I remember when Pace got here, he was super engaging and transparent, and then John Fox got a hold of him, and that's when he became so paranoid. And Fox was so paranoid. You won 3 games, dude. You have no reason to be paranoid. Nobody cares what you're doing. So then they bring in, then Pace became really paranoid. So then we didn't know if he was the one who was restricting us or it was Nagy who was getting that way. I don't know. So that's why I feel like the common denominator's got to be Ted, where he's like, nope, keep him at an arm's length. Don't let him get any closer because they'll realize that I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe that's what he's
I mean, we were finding out you guys don't even get, like, say Dionne wanted an exclusive interview with Akeem Hicks. They're not going to allow that to happen.
No way. Nope.
Why? Why?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
They don't want to ruin the Lunch with Larry segment that's coming up on ChicagoBears.com tomorrow.
Hard hitting.
Yeah.
That was so well played.
Do you like football, Akeem? Whoa. Where'd you get that one, Larry?
Oh my gosh. Is it that obvious? That was pretty good, you guys.
Hey, this is what we do here.
You're right. Do you enjoy football? Oh my gosh. No, and hey, right now I would take an exclusive with Akeem Hicks. I'd love to know what he's thinking.
That's my next question to you right there.
Oh man.
Do you think he comes back?
Gosh, I hope so. He's like my favorite. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Something went so far awry at the end of last season, and I'm not sure if that reputation or whatever happened there. We don't really know the full story, but if that would be a reason that he would just across the board, they'd be like, you know what, we're going to just start fresh. And I don't know, but
that would be George and Ted again, because
it would be George and Ted again.
Cleaned out everybody. So I said this to Potsy last week. I'm like, and I think, who did I say it to before that? There's something about Akeem Hicks that I think needs to be here with the new coach. I believe he could play the 3 technique. I've shown the world why, because he's done it. It's there. Last year he's done it. So don't worry about 3 tech, this crap. This player is a freak when he's healthy. I get it.
I know.
But he's a veteran, and I just think if Matt, maybe you can ask this, will you ever sit down and talk to Akeem Hicks, the person? Because the description that Ryan Poles, I want toughness, leader.
Oh my gosh.
He checks all those boxes.
All of those
So
boxes.
if Ted and George have an issue with Akeem Hicks telling Mike Rumpf or Coach Rumpf to go fuck himself and Matt Nagy to do the same, in that negative, neglectful environment, I think there's no truth to you saying, I'm not involved, I'm just a fan. If that's,
no, there's no truth to that, you guys. There's no truth to that.
So maybe, I don't know how to word the question.
I know.
For you, but maybe you can ask him.
I do feel like, based on what Poles and Eberflus are saying, that they are truly allowing all of these guys to have a fresh start and a clean slate, and they're trying to get to know who they are before they make decisions. That seems very clear to me.
There's my question.
So
then.
I'm hoping that that's something I should have
Can
asked. Where
you
was
ask
this yesterday? I forgot.
Can
I
you
want to
ask
ask him. Yeah.
Well,
Will you sit down with veteran Akeem Hicks and talk about a future with Chicago? If they answer in a certain way, it'll tell us exactly.
Well, their get out of jail free card is that he's not under contract, and they can't speak about players that aren't under contract. That'll be
it's what they would say. That is what they say.
I thought they're allowed to talk to their own. Yes, they're allowed to talk to their own.
The rules are so weird.
It is.
They are.
But I think the thing about it is too, and this is what we don't have access to. I mean, they're never going to share it, but they may know that he's missed 20 games over the last 3 seasons, and if there's
19,
either way, so just say 19.
Take that
but if those
19 sounds so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. If those medical red flags those could be absolutely in play. Right. I mean, that's right. We're also talking about a humongous human being.
Human being.
Yeah.
But got in such good shape for this season.
No. I get
think
it.
That was he looked so much better when he came back for this season.
If you're describing a Chicago Bear, he's
I would like to finish him out. I would like to see him brought back. Fair deal, a deserved deal. and a new, just like you said, everybody gets a clean slate. I hope
Yeah.
that happens. I'm sorry.
I hope so
talked.
too.
Who do you think their big target will be, though? Is it James Daniels?
Maybe. I really don't know. I can't get a read on what their focus would be. I would think it would be up front, offensive line, somebody up there would be what they want to do, but I don't know. I also wouldn't be surprised if they would part ways with someone that would shock us. I mean, I just feel like they're looking for, they know what they're looking for, and if you don't fit that, it's not personal, it's football. Let's win, and they just move on. That's kind of how I feel like they're approaching it. I'm not sure where they would begin. I really don't know. But I do know, I know that they have a plan? Like, I want to sit here and be like, I feel like they already have a plan. I'm not sure. That wasn't super clear yesterday. It still felt like they were kind of easing into, I mean, what are they going to say at the combine? But still, like, I was hopeful that we'd get a little bit more of, like, when you're asking Ryan Poles what he sees on the roster, he's like, well, there's some talent there. I mean, you could tell that he was starting from scratch.
Did you see Shayne yelling at the TV?
Give me some fucking names. Give this kid 2 fucking games. Give me some fucking names.
That's all he wanted.
I was only yelling like that because Olin wasn't on the screen with me.
Poles, give me some fucking names.
Yes, give us names. Oh my gosh.
But I do think that Ryan Poles is smart enough to realize that there's, and I bring this up all the time, that there's a poker game aspect to all of this. Totally. If he goes out there and names 2 or 3 players, then a guy next in line is like, why didn't he didn't mention my name?
No, that's true.
Maybe I should lace up these track shoes and go run a few more laps. And
I think
reps. Yeah, I do. I think that there's a mental, war game to all of this where he's trying to essentially say, because I mean he didn't really say too much about Roquan Smith. I mean, he's going to be here. I think he's going to be moving to the will linebacker position, but all that. But to me, Roquan Smith is another guy that needs to transform his body to take that next leap, because Roquan is not body beautiful, sculpted from
he's
Zeus.
Not. He's not chiseled. He's not chiseled.
The Greek Adonis.
Right.
But he's got the skills, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got it. That's why if they can get him in shape a little bit more. I'm worried a little bit about Tariq. I did not like the way he responded to that yesterday, and it is taking so long for him to heal. That's not good.
Don't get us started. I have to upload our dance.
Did we already talk about that?
Oh my god!
Did I miss that part of the show?
No, I
don't think Tariq likes us at this.
Just
network.
as a network, we were stunned universally when they extended him. I mean, he's had his flashes, but to me, I understand the personal stuff, and I do feel awful for him, the situation with his twin brother and all of that. And obviously, Matt Nagy's never come out and said it, but this kid has obviously had some sort of a setback or a second procedure on his knee. And when you're at that position and your entire game is based on being elusive and planting your leg, I don't know, man. And I don't think he's going to be here. I just don't.
I don't either.
They got to move money around, and I don't expect it. And I'm not sure if he's. I hate to say where people are in their mental space, but I don't know if he's. You can't be 92% bought in the NFL, and I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if Tariq is there.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It's just stunning to me that it's been so long and no one's given us any answers as to exactly what's going on there. And even the way they responded yesterday, I was like, we're not getting the full story for sure.
Yeah, and
I didn't see his response yesterday. What was it?
He basically said that. Well, now I'm going to forget, but he was very vague about where Tariq is at right now. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like. He was asked straight up, is he 100% healthy? And he said, I don't feel comfortable talking about a player's health, which I'm sorry. If he was 100% healthy, he'd be like, yes, he's 100% healthy. So you didn't answer the question, but you did answer the question.
I thought you were saying Tariq said something yesterday.
No, not Tariq,
I got you
just
now.
Poles.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I think it's on our other page, so I don't want.
Yeah, and he's not even that last game in Minnesota when he was dancing in the end zone.
Did you see that video?
Coming off the field, and it was.
Oh my God!
Oh
Can
yeah,
we
it was.
Find this video. Where the hell is it, guys?
I don't know. Yeah, it was
it
him
on the
and
other side.
It was him and Jalen Johnson, and there was somebody else. And
I've learned over the years to take just about anything.
It's definitely. There it is. Right.
Performance over politics.
So there you go.
I mean, he doesn't look in shape in that at all.
You're dancing off the field after a loss. The only excuse I gave him was maybe he knew Matt Nagy was being fired and he was dancing. But ultimately, what kind of look is that?
Yeah.
You haven't played almost in 2 years. And you're dancing off the field after a loss, Dionne.
Yeah,
that was the video.
That's the fireable offense right there, right? I mean, that's you're not engaged. You're not engaged in what's going on.
When you're saying that your culture is the envy of the league, that's where you saying that falls apart. Yeah.
I know.
It's sad.
It's like Claudio going out on workers' comp, then he's out in the dance clubs that night. that ain't happening. Come on, Tariq. That was the worst look. If I'm Ryan Poles and Eberflus, like, goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No doubt.
But Dionne, we talked about Akeem Hicks coming back. To me yesterday when I listened to them talk on Allen Robinson, I mean, I think resoundingly we believe that he's all gone. But if you're talking a clean slate, to me, you could see it on Ryan Poles' face that he was essentially like, yeah, he didn't come out and say it, but that was just the way that I read it. I know Adam Hogue has alluded to it a couple of times that maybe he doesn't expect him to get a lot of play on the open market in terms of the big money. Yeah, and so
you don't either, Dionne?
No, I don't.
He was saying, just wondering if he would possibly come back here on a 1-year prove it deal with Justin Fields to see. But to me, I'm ready to turn the page completely on that. I think.
Didn't you guys feel like, speaking of the mental side of things, like I just felt like Allen was in his head all year because he was tagged and he didn't want to be, and he could not get out of his own way. Like he didn't show up when you expected him to show up, right? And he didn't even. And gosh, you guys, they made that dumb excuse about him not taking first team reps in training camp into like week 10. They were still talking about it. Like, it was so dumb. And they just didn't build a connection. And I think a lot of that is Allen's fault. Like, there was he could have totally been like, I'm going to stay after practice. I'm going to build this relationship with him because I want to shine this year. And I think didn't he come out afterwards and admit that him and Nagy didn't see like eye to eye anyway? Or Nagy never talked to him. That was it.
Right. Yeah. There was no communication.
There was no communication.
And to me, it actually goes all the way back to Jacksonville. He was heading into a contract year. In his first game, he tore his ACL. Yeah. And I think that was in the back of his head. But to me, that is even a red flag with Allen Robinson, because the Bears gave him $43 million and then tagged him after that contract ran out for another $18 million on top of it. So I don't want to say that I don't want to hear the bullshit that Ryan Pace screwed you over financially. I am not buying that, because as Phil said, we have it on tape where there was one play that still sticks out to me, that if he makes one block, Justin Fields is up the left sideline. Phil, what was it, 65 yards or something?
Yeah.
All he had to do was one block, and he ran out of bounds. He's like, no.
He did it constantly over and over. You talk about teamwork, togetherness, accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I've been calling this out with A-Rob. You want to be a superstar, say what you want about T.O., Terrell Owens. He blocked.
Yeah.
He played the game of football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A-Rob and his agent. His agent probably is the worst thing for him, is that dude.
Yeah.
Going out there speaking.
I mean, he had a great 2012. Think Dionne. He had a great 2020, right?
2018 he did great. 2019 he was good, very good.
He was good. Yeah.
That's where he started to really shine and two.
And that's when he was wanting the big money and wanting to be paid like a number one. But how does the new regime describe a number one? You can do it all, right? You can, and
Right,
he can't do it all. He can't do it all.
Exactly.
That's not
That's
Allen
it.
Robinson.
That's from
Allen Robinson he's that. I feel bad. He's his own worst enemy because you never let your agent speak for you, and you'd never ever go on a football field wanting money and walking around with a neglectful attitude. It's just that loaf is just sending a message to everybody that all you care about is you, and that ain't football.
No, 1,000%. And the sad reality is that we all observed that on tape. And Eberflus made it very, very clear. He said, you want to know what a player's like? Watch the tape. It doesn't. You guys know the tape never lies. And so
there's our promo.
there it is. There it is. The tape never lies. And he's right, though. That's what he's going to see when he sees Allen Robinson from last season. He's going to see that he wasn't giving 100% and that he wasn't doing the things that he was expected to do. Same with the offensive line. Same with all those guys that are in question. This new regime they sat down, they took each position, they showed tape, they said, this is what the kind of person we're looking for. They brought in the scouts, they chopped all that up, and they know what they're looking for. And if you don't fit that, they don't owe you anything, and they're not gonna keep you around.
So well said, Dionne.
Boys, I am working tonight.
I got one question for you.
Yes.
I've never asked this. Dionne, how did you get the name Dionne? I've never heard this.
So I was named after Dionne Warwick.
Really?
Can you sing?
Yeah.
Can you hit a note?
No, I cannot. And I can't predict the future either. So I don't know what I'm not a psychic network. And no, I've always joked though, like my parents wanted a black daughter and that's why they named me Dionne. I don't know, but we could not be. Miller is a little, clearly no, but that is where they got the name.
There it is.
To say goodbye to Jay over your shoulder, is that a Cutler nod?
It is. It is. Do you guys remember? Oh my gosh, let me get it for you. Hold on.
She is in the ABC studios downtown Chicago. Got Dionne Miller here. Look, she's bringing on props.
I'm props. Now, I will tell you that I am not shy about my love for one Jay Cutler. And so this was the last graphic we did when he got let go. And so I had it printed and it's been on my desk for years. Love me some Jay Cutler. He doesn't really look like that anymore, but
he lost a lot of weight. Like
he did.
There's an actor that looks just like Jay. Have you seen this dude?
Who is it?
I gotta get his name. He was just in some really like a mystery twist movie. The dude, I'm gonna send it to you.
Dionne. Tell me,
and you tell me.
All right, and then I'm all for the weekly question. I'm all for the weekly question from TTNL, and just send it to me, and then I'll phrase it so nobody knows that it's not directly from me
TTNL.
or whatever.
Yeah, if you go in there with the TTNL brand and say, Coach Eberflus, what in the fuck? You're not going to know that it came from TTNL.
Dionne, you signed with TTNL.
What? Who are you? What just happened?
You do have a Keepin It 100
Shayne and Phil
t-shirt.
did it
So you
again.
could
I do.
You could wear that and be like,
next time I come on the show, I'm going to wear it. Hopefully I won't be working when I come on the show next time.
Thank you for jumping on.
Absolutely.
You guys are the best. I love it.
We totally love you and appreciate you. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of your work night. Thanks for taking your time out. She's Dionne Miller.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
See you later.
Bye for now, as Eric would say, right? Speaking of Eric, where's our drop for this?
What?
Oh, where is it?
It's not that. I don't know where it went.
Oh my God. Who moved the drop?
Oh, this is Claudio the Barb.
You know,
Phil.
What is going on out there?
There he is.
There he is.
Sorry, I fell asleep. What's going on?
Listen.
Nerd alert.
There we go.
There it is. Where was it? It's not an alert if you're not there with it.
Cars was also supposed to be named after Dionne Warwick. That's so strange.
No, ironically and weirdly random, when my mother figured out, so I'm adopted, and they figured out I was Swedish, my mom wanted to name me Hans. And the greatest thing my father ever did for me was made sure that never, ever happened. Yeah.
Can we get a Hans Carstensen t-shirt drawn up there?
Hans Carstensen Anderson, and then just roll with that? Absolutely.
I forgot to give Dionne her pick shout out. She already had it, but never mind. I'm sorry for cutting Hans. He's already a lord. He might as well be a lord. Imagine if you own the Bears. Would you be like this?
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
Nope.
I would show up everywhere with sweatpants and juice from a Portillo's combination sandwich just all over my hoodie. Like, I would look like a more disheveled Bill Belichick every time.
Cut off sleeves.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would do with the old mullet and the Pit Viper sunglasses as well, right? We're just going to do this all the way and just roll with it.
Lord Hans.
How long would it take you to fire Larry Mayer, though?
Like the second I finish the N on my last name, that would be edict number 1. Absolutely.
That got quite the rise out of Dionne when I was dropping nukes on Larry Mayer.
All of them do. Like,
yeah, they do.
They all
all like him.
I would, and to Ryan Cox, absolutely, I would lock everybody out within 3.2 seconds unless they agreed to just horrible deals that crippled them and their family, because I would play poor the whole entire time. Call it the MLB. We're calling it the MLB.
Lord Hans Cars, owner of the Arlington Heights Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
He's firing Larry Mayer first. He's
concession stands is all going to be Portillo's cheese fries for the first 1,000 people, right? We're just going to do this the right way. Yeah.
Breakfast of champions. Building yourself a winner.
We're trying to get these linemen to lose weight, Cars. And you're
no. We're going to bulk everybody up. Everyone's going to be everyone's going to look like the old Aaron Gibson days, right? Like 6'6", 370.
Remember that monster?
I met this dude in person with my dad.
Was that in Cleveland?
No, this was in New Haven at the Walter Camp. He was an All-American at Wisconsin.
Yes.
Biggest human being
I
ever been around. And I've been around a lot of big human beings.
That helmet, wasn't the stories like of his helmet size just something out of the world? Yeah.
We were
it was like a 55-gallon drum with a face mask put on it.
His father goes to him right there, and we have to wear tuxes. You know, it's a black tie dinner event.
Your dad's like, Aaron, look, I'm in space.
Yeah,
I'm in space. You know my dad. He shakes his hand. Wow, what a grip you got. Look at the size of your head. They order you a special helmet. I swear to God. All he did was look at him. He goes, they actually have to.
Yeah.
I just picture him looking at him and go, Phil, it's your dad. Look at this over here, right? Like,
look at this guy's head.
Phil, can you hear me? This is your dad speaking. Can you hear me?
Shut it off before the best part.
Oh my God. I'm in space. What does he say? I'm in space because it was echoing.
Phil, can you hear me? This is your dad speaking. Can you hear me? I'm in space.
That's awesome.
That he laughs so much.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man.
When you know your dad is truly laughing, like I've been around, so that was his.
Do you remember the first time like you make your father like actually laugh, not the actual like the half one? Like what I ran to my mom and I was like, I did it! I did it! And it was those are the moments you'd never forget. Absolutely.
Yeah. Man. When you make your dad laugh, it's like getting injected with heroin.
Yes.
'Cause now all of a sudden you're like, I'm addicted to this. I'm going to put a whole stand-up act together.
Move over, Eddie Murphy. I'm coming for you right now. I'm coming for it.
It's like there's only one person in this world that leaves like Rocky and doesn't go out of the theater throwing punches and shit. That person is a blog boy. That's how you know. It's like you're that person. And the same thing with the dad laugh. If you've made your dad laugh, you've lived life.
You've officially made it. Yeah.
Yeah, you've lived life.
You get on the school bus the next day and you guys, everybody bow down. Who wants to kiss the ring? You won't believe what just happened.
Did you have a lunchbox?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You have a lunchbox.
Some people didn't. I did. I had the tin one. Cherie didn't have no lunchbox.
With the thermos, right?
Cherie had a knapsack.
Thermos.
Yeah.
Right?
Cherie had the cold.
Unfortunately, Cherie was a part of the free lunch program.
Oh, how's that government processed cheese, Cherie? That shit's pretty good, right?
Oh, that's the juice, baby. Yo, I feel the juice in my mouth. Yo, the juice in your ass like Florida orange, baby. Yo. What?
That at that point and adding the what is absolutely perfect. It is really chef's kiss at that moment.
Cherie might timestamp that, Jackal. I'm a part of the government lunch program at that. I didn't have no fucking lunchbox.
When I was in school,
I had a Star Wars lunchbox.
Yeah. Yep.
Transformers.
You had Transformers. I
pop
somehow
it open. You'd have that cool little thermos.
What did you have?
Who, me? I had a Return of the Jedi lunchbox.
So did I. Had
that thing's probably worth like $7,000.
I looked it up. It's
right
worth
now.
$8,000.
Yeah,
the one I had.
Cars is the nerd on this show, huh?
Yeah. This is why we get along so well.
What?
My back always.
Listen, I like nerdish things. I like sci-fi. That's supposed to be nerdish, right?
Again, proud moments as a dad. The first time they sit down and watch Star Wars, right? And you're like, this is the moment.
Oh yeah, New Hope.
Oh,
New Hope. Are you a New Hope? Empire? Which one?
Rogue. One dude had a Kiss lunchbox.
Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
Planet of the Apes lunchbox.
How old's that fucking dude?
That dude had one.
You know, Rogue One is probably, after the original trilogy, in all seriousness, is my favorite.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal movie.
That's the only movie I really can watch besides Tommy Boy over and over. True story.
Now
Obviously,
for the rest of the night, all I'm going to be thinking is bees.
Claudio, I knew it.
Claudio
Look
dropping
at
the
that
hammer.
Devil.
One of the hardest times I ever laughed in my life.
Texted me, he said, "Dude, I can't wait to drop this on somebody."
The deer scene on Tommy Boy in the car.
Oh,
and then
of course.
you're laughing your ass off, and then you don't think you can laugh any harder, and then the fucking hood flips up.
My favorite is like when he fucking, well, it's not my favorite. It's one of my favorite. When he's at the gas station and he backs up the car, takes the door, bends it.
I'm not even going to make fun of Facebook user. Poor fucker had a Scooby-Doo mystery machine.
Oh, boy.
I remember my neighbor having that same one. It was plastic, though.
What?
Yeah, the plastic one.
Oh, man.
That was when plastic was cool. I had a tin one, and I wanted a plastic one.
That's because we're old. That's why.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's
Empire
terrible.
Strikes Back was my favorite Star Wars. That one. I liked Return of the Jedi and all that.
Nerd alert!
We're having a nerd moment. Speaking of new moments, Shayne.
Yep.
We got a new segment on the show, guys. Here it is. New segment. Claudio's cut it out. You thought that was good. This is a new segment. Every week, sponsored by Manscaped.
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jackal better do some shit. Jackal better do some shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit now. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal
Yes, it's the Jackal Don't Do Shit segment.
That is catchy as hell.
Steven Johnson said that's the new one-up anthem.
So don't do shit.
Catchy
Jackal texted me before. He's like, "Yo, I'm going on a bathroom break." I'm like, "You're going to do shit? Nice."
I might have been outside, Claudio. You know, might have been fucking getting some fresh air. You fucking idiot.
Because your office smells of rich mahogany. Is that you couldn't take that anymore? Is that what's going on?
Excuse me,
Rich mahogany.
That was awesome.
Jackal looks like he's in a Starbucks somewhere in Farmington. There you go. That's
you're
where
gonna
he's
be
at.
my neighbor soon, brother. So take it easy.
Hey, I might be. House hunting is crazy.
See, I just brought up somebody's name, and did you see who just pops into the green room down there?
Oh my God.
Mr. Johnson,
I need a front row to this shit.
Yeah.
Let's shift him. Let's shift him.
I'm watching. I'm gonna sit here and
put him as close to the end broadcast button as possible. Reach right up and push it.
Right over there. Don't go over there. Steve.
Yes, the Jackal Don't Do Shit.
That is the
segment.
I needed that more than one way.
Did you get to see that?
That was
Steven?
awesome.
No.
Oh, you gotta play it for him.
That's catchy.
No, I saw it. I thought you meant before this. No,
No.
this is the first time I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's play it one more time.
Absolutely.
The new
Absolutely. I'm in.
He is
I only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but you know, only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but you know.
Jackal better do some shit. Jackal better do some shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit now. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal better do some 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 shit. Don't do shit.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb.
That ending is phenomenal.
Some funk in there.
Like from start to finish, that just starts strong, ends strong, right?
Want to sponsor the Jackal Don't Do Shit segment? Just reach out to me. We're looking for a big sponsor.
You son of a bitch, Phil.
This will be
fucking with you this morning. You
every
fucking
week.
Snake in the grass.
It's a lot of love in this room. A lot of
Jackal,
love.
literally, when you were walking out of his office, he had texted me that right when
Get out.
Hey, see you boys later. I'm like, we're fucking dogging his ass right
behind
now.
the scenes.
Oh my
I'm
God.
cutting these, putting
so
all
great.
this video. Shout out to our TTNL music director, producer, Cool Kennedy. I called him 2 weeks ago. I'm like, dude, I need a segment, just a jingle. I'm looking for. He's like,
It's
yeah,
stuck
what are you
in my
thinking?
head.
What are you thinking? I'm like, it's Jackal Don't Do Shit. Whatever you got.
I was
He's
doing
like,
my honeydew list, and I looked down at my phone. It's a text from Phil. He's like, any fucking clip you have a Jackal, I need them all.
Oh man,
That's exactly.
Dude, I'm glad you didn't use that one Corey sent earlier. It looked like a fucking Russian doll.
Listen, we have a lot of fun here. In all honesty, Jackal does a lot of shit behind the scenes, but we have a lot of fun, and that right there was a lot of fun to put together. Right?
Do we know why Steven Johnson showed up tonight? He texted me. He's like, I have to be on live when Cherie does the Manscaped read. It's my most favorite thing.
If we're doing that back to back. Holy shit! This is a murderer's row right now. Like that is going from Babe Ruth to Mickey Mantle back to back. Like, let's do this.
My man Blake Bortles is like a mirror down below. Squeaky clean.
Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles. They'll have to
Oh my
tell that
God, I can
show
never
on
live it
tell
now.
that
Nope.
story on Patreon. On
Cherie, are you ready
behind the
to?
scenes.
Are you ready to do this? Because I got the ducks lined up.
You ready, Cherie?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. I'm gonna take Jackal out. Jackal, your don't do shit segment.
Oh.
Next week, you'll have some things. I'll tell you what my
love it.
expectations are.
I love it.
But great job by Cool Kennedy producing that. And
thank you, Cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I knew that would make your night, man.
Oh man!
Last week, I was preparing it for last week. I told Cool Kennedy, I'm like, I can't play it this week. Jack was going through a lot of shit, which is a true story. So.
That's usually when we pounce, Jackal. So you gotta love us, bro.
Oh, of course.
We love you,
That's
Jackal.
awesome.
Now
You have to. You have no choice. No choice.
Claudio, the barber, you're working the star button in the background.
Yeah, I'm always watching. Always watching.
We're gonna bring
I'm
Claudio
gonna
back.
block people while Cherie's doing her manscape. I'll take her job.
You know you've
I'll
made
block
it.
Logan Frost is first, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Watch Logan
Yeah.
first.
He already said Dub Bears once.
You
It's
know
like-
you've
done.
made it
Done.
when
There you
Don Burr comes into your chat room and starts talking about his Lions. Thank you.
Oh,
Don.
he was in the Adam Rank chat.
Yeah, he's always there. He's always Don Burr.
Yeah, his
Timber.
his mother's a cunt too. I'm sorry, Don.
Now we've just hit like the trifecta, right? Like we picked on Jackal. Shayne insulted somebody's mom. Cherie's about to do the read. We've kind of hit
Should we
everything.
set this up for next week? Off because Steven could read a line, and then Cherie could read, and it could be like a
Oh, the
ballad.
female.
What is
Yeah.
that? What is it? A duet.
I
A
take the
duet.
lawnmower 4.0 and get in there
Yeah,
real deep
baby.
like Cherie. What about you? And then she starts talking.
Is your man's balls too hairy?
Oh my god.
Then
TNL after dark.
Yeah.
Cherie starts with that. And Steven comes on with a deep voice. Well, I'm telling you right now, girl.
Cherie, you see what I'm seeing?
The tape never lies.
I got
after dark.
a whole lot of clean real estate down below the waistline, Cherie. How
I needed
about
these
you?
laughs tonight.
Oh my god.
All right, Steven, I'm letting Cherie have her stage, but
No.
next week we're doing this. The duet. We're gonna call it the funky duet. Okay.
You gotta have her do a TikTok duet. We'll get this
Oh,
music
yeah.
loaded up.
More Cherie, more Lady Bear.
If we ever, by the way, like Cherie, you do a wonderful job. But one day, my hope and dream is that we get remotely Angelo to record one of the
I got
drops.
an Angelo update. I got an Angelo update coming later.
Oh, we got our guy
guest.
in the
Should
green
we
room.
wait? Should we wait? Because the read is longer than the Declaration of
Yeah,
Independence.
I
don't want to keep.
We don't
Herb.
want Herb. We don't want Herb's first experience with TTNL to be a Manscaped read.
Too late. Too late.
Oh, he's saying
Are
yes.
you ready?
This started
Yes,
like
I'm
5
ready.
minutes earlier.
give him the read.
Have a wonderful show, gentlemen. And Cherie.
Give us a little bit Manscaped as you leave. Oh, he left.
Good call. Good call.
What?
There he is. There he's back.
What do you want?
What do you want?
Nah, I was thinking of something off the top of my head, but it's
go
all
for it.
good. We'll do it next week.
Okay,
I like
next
the
week.
duet
Okay.
when you and Cherie will spell it out. W woman read, M
Cherie,
man.
what should
okay?
I do with these? Oh,
Yes.
about we
Manscaped is
try out
gonna
this
double
4.0?
their
I'm gonna
orders.
go now.
I have a whole case. I have a whole case of the Manscaped ball preserver.
Yes.
Stephen is
That
like,
was
I just feel
Steven
dirty.
Johnson,
And I'm
One Up
kidding.
Fantasy on the network on Shy City Sports. Him and this guy, Chris Jackal, who don't do shit. I don't know if Howard got to see the new jam, but we'll play it for him later because I'm telling you that is hot. That is hot. If I was a DJ playing that to the top of the hour. Anyway, Cherie, you'll be back for the read. Lady Bear is coming back for the read. Speaking of reads, I know this guy doesn't read his questions. And he comes with a football acumen that I love and respect. I'm gonna put out my next year, Shayne. Me and you are gonna put out our media rankings. The beat media, and I'm adding cars because I want that Bears nerd vibe in there, so there's no unfair bias. These are the best of the media and how they talk to George and Ted, the collaboration crew, as AKA, and as well as the new coach, Ryan and Matt, GM and coach. They just changed the names. The faces are different. The names are the same. Anyway, let's do the intro to this guy the way we do here at TTNL. This guy is a beat writer for, well, you'll see it right here. I love this guy, Herb Howard.
This guy is the Chicago Bears beat reporter for At It's the Bigs. He's also the co-host of the I Said What I Said podcast. On top of that, he's also a radio personality at WN iHeartRadio. Bears fans, TTNL fans, get up out your seats and give it up for TTNL Network first-timer Herb Howard.
There he is.
What's going on, y'all?
How you doing, Herb?
I'm feeling good. I appreciate that intro. That was dope. I was about to start applauding myself.
Hey, that's our thing. We pat ourselves on the back. You can't do it. Sorry, that's our.
He's
that's
allowed. He's
okay,
in the
fine.
building.
Okay, fine.
He's part of the family. We're adopting him. Part of the family. Listen, we always got to bring a special intro to special people that come on the network. Again, the show is called Keepin It 100. I didn't know who you were. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I'm talking about in the beginning of this season. All I heard was this voice come out, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Nagy, when you're I'm like, who's this? Finally, we're getting some football questions. And I would perk up because we do Bears Hour Live right after the game. So we listen to the post-game presser and we talk over it here and react to it. And that's why we're so, in touch with the beat writers, because you're the fans' sword. You're at the front of the lines for us. And when we're given softball question, we're letting them off the hook. It really doesn't do a service to the fans or the team. And you bring that heat. Obviously, Mark Potash, we had on last week. We all see him bring the heat, but you do the same thing. Have the Bears, and we'll start there. How did you start? How did you get onto, being a part of the beat? How did that happen?
Well, first of all, let me say, man, it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to be on with y'all. I'm a fan of what y'all do and the way y'all cover the Bears. Y'all do keep it 100. Like, y'all don't let nobody off the hook. Y'all call it how y'all see it, and that's how Bears fans are. That's how Bears fans should be. I was a Bears fan long before I was a Bears beat reporter, and so that's the mentality that I take into that media room, and understanding that it's my responsibility to kind of be a conduit to the Bears fans, and I know what they want to know because it's the same thing I want to know. I saw the same game they saw, and so I want to ask those same questions that I would ask if I was watching the game at home on the couch, if I was sitting in the stands, whatever. I just get the opportunity to go into that press conference and ask those questions, and so I ask them. But in terms of answering your question, I covered the Bears for the Bigs Media, and the Bigs Media was started by Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin. And they've been doing a lot of phenomenal things in the Chicago media for a long time, covering the Cubs, the Sox, the Bulls. And they, the three of us did a football show last season, the 2020 season. And we called it the Kickoff Kickback. And we would go from 10 a.m. right up until kickoff. And we would just kind of talk through the Bears games, and we would make our picks and just hang out, talk football. And towards the end of that, they kind of asked me like, hey, what would you think about, covering the Bears for us next season? And for me, it was just like, listen, don't even mention something like that to me unless it's a reality. Because again, I've been a fan for a long time. So having the opportunity to be able to do something like that was a dream come true for me. And so I was like, listen, don't even mention that to me unless it's a reality. And they're like, no, we're serious. And so just let it go for a few months. And they came back and it was like, hey, everything is set. And, a little bit before training camp kicked off, the Bears sent all my credentials through and showed up at Hallis Hall the first day and just got to work. And the rest just kind of went by really, really quickly. You show up day one, it's kind of this new thing. You're like, I can't really believe I'm at Hallis Hall covering the Bears. But then you start doing your job. And before you know it, they're 6-11 and it's over with.
Well, what was that like that first time? Like you kind of hit on it, but right, like how do you sit down and you've got your fan questions that you want to ask, but you also don't want to be the new guy kind of going like, how dumb are you making that play call on 4th down? Like, so how did you kind of balance that out at the start?
I didn't really think about it. I just didn't think about it. I know this game very well. I've loved this game for a long time. I've watched it for a long time. And so the same questions that I would ask if I was, again, just at home, those are the questions I would want to know. And so those are the questions I went into and asked. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I'm not going to demean anybody. I respect the fact that only 32 people get to be a head coach in the National Football League. It's a very hard job to get. To be a player in the league is a very hard thing to do. All of those guys are phenomenal world-class athletes and can play this game at a higher level than 99% of people breathing oxygen. That being said, they make mistakes, you know what I mean? And they don't do things well. And when that's the case, you got to ask. I would love to have been able to walk into every one of those press conferences and say, man, Matt Nagy, how did you get so good at coaching football? Like, how are you so phenomenal at coaching football and calling plays? And how, I would like to ask the offensive line, how did y'all get so good at blocking? And if that was the case, I would ask those kind of questions. Unfortunately, with a 16-11 football team, there were more negatives to be asked. And, the tough questions got to be asked. That's what I'm there for. And so I didn't really think about, how I find that balance. I was just being honest.
The thing that's a separator for me and where I like the position that you're in covering the Bears is, I mean, you hear coaches talk about it all the time where it has to matter. You have to love football. It has to matter to you. And in your position, you started out as a Bears fan, and this is something that drives me so crazy with guys that are on the beat. And I know they're bouncing around from city to city and just everywhere looking for the next job or the pay raise. But with a guy like you live and breathe the Chicago Bears. So we have our guy and you there. Exactly. You know what I mean? You're there asking the questions, and it matters to you because Phil and I, he mentioned BHL. So when we go live, as soon as the game is over and then the post-game presser, we've had, 2,000, 3,000 people on with us live, and we're listening to it and breaking it down as it goes. And then somebody will ask a question and they'll say, all right, you have you can go, do you have another question? The guy's like, oh, no, I'm good. And I'm like, oh, you can't ask a second question after you just watched an NFL football game, with the Chicago, it makes me nuts. So I just wanted to give you a shout out, just, being in that position, man, because it matters to us to have somebody like you on the beat,
100%,
knowing that
I'm jealous of you.
Yeah. That you live and die with it, man, because there's not enough people like that to do it.
No, I received that and I appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. You know what I mean? I take that mentality with me every single day to work. Like just being a Bears fan and having the opportunity to kind of bring that voice into that space. Even pregame at Soldier Field, I'm always up, out at the tailgates, and I'm hanging out and I'm doing interviews, and we got access to the stadium like 3 or 4 hours before kickoff, and a lot of guys go in there and they get to write in their articles, whatever it is they're gonna do, and that's fine. Right. But for me, I just rather be out with the people. And so I spend at least an hour or so just hanging out with the people, bouncing around from tailgates, asking them questions, doing interviews. And then I'll head in maybe, 90 minutes before kickoff and start to do my pregame work and those types of things, because I truly appreciate what the fans bring. And I still view myself, as just a fan of the game and of the Bears. And so that's kind of the mentality I take into the booth and into the press conference.
Well, stay there. I have Do you feel like there's a bias? And keep it 100. I've been on the beat. I'll tell you that story another time. But did you feel like a click? So you're kind of this, taken as a certain way. Did you feel that? And is that over with now? I just want to understand that, because I feel like what Shayne is saying, and let me preface this question with this. What Shayne is saying, it feels like the Chicago Bears have been so political. They want everything done a certain way. We can't film a guy in shorts. We can't do this. And Herb is that voice for the fan. And I think the Chicago Bears miss out on the understanding that the fans actually are smarter than you give them credit for. And we don't need these lollipop questions. Akeem, do you like the game of football? Like, that doesn't matter. What we want to know is why. We had a coach that continued to say, we got to find the why. We want to know the why. And if you can't figure it out, the Bears can't. It just feels like, is there some sort of sense of weirdness towards you? Because I feel like you do ask the questions we want to hear.
Initially, you walk into that room and no, it's all good. Initially, you walk into that room and you are the new guy, and it's kind of like being the new guy anywhere. The new guy at school, the new guy at work, whatever it is, and the kind of cliques are kind of established, and there's a bit of a hierarchy going on. But again, I didn't go in there intending to make friends or anything like that. I just came in to do my job, and that's kind of how I approached it. And I would just kind of wait and see. And certainly there were, a lot of people in that room whose work I had appreciated for a long time. I read a lot of their work or followed a lot of their work in terms of the people who were working the beat. And so, there was some of that in terms of who's the new guy. And especially being a young black dude, this is the room, mostly middle-aged white guys in there. And it's just like, there's this moment to see, like, how's that going to play out? And, but I didn't really concern myself with it. I wasn't going in there to, shake hands or anything like that. I was just coming to do my job. And I think that for the most part, once they saw that, one, I knew the game and I was committed to the work, and I would be an asset to the room in terms of trying to get to stories and information that we could all utilize, then they kind of embraced me. And some of them, were kind of, standoffish, if you would be, but a lot of them were really, really welcoming. Shout out to a guy like Jason Leisure from the Sun-Times, who's become a really good friend of mine. He was one of the first people to come up to me and introduce himself and, offer any help that he thought I may need. So a lot of people were welcoming. In terms of the Bears, their media and PR staff, they were welcoming. They did a great job of making me feel like a veteran beat reporter, and anything I needed, they were willing to provide for me. And so I never felt any type of difference in terms of the way the Bears treated me, in terms of whether, we go on Zoom, and on Zoom is different from being in the room, because in the room, you kind of just shout out your question, and whoever gets their question out first gets their question. On Zoom, it's kind of like, okay, who do they call on to ask these questions? Right. And, that can kind of be a bit of a hierarchy type thing. But, I never felt like they weren't, making sure I could get my questions in, or weren't allowing me to come through with follow-ups or anything like that. So I can't say anything bad about the Bears from that perspective at all. It was just, about me doing my work and how good could I be?
Well, I mean, other than Patrick Finley, trying to sneak in 3 questions when everybody gets
and
one,
I got a follow-up.
Well, and another follow-up to that one.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that, though. 1A and B. You're always hating on the 1A and B cars.
You never are a 1A and B. You are a 1G, H, and I. Like, I don't know how that works somehow, but you manage a way.
Well, I wanted to, because I think our fans need to know you. We need to know you, because I feel like there is a brotherhood building, because you're the likes of what it is. For example, your first time I heard you when you said it was when you were on the Zoom call, and I have no idea who you were. Like, that's just me. I'm keeping it real here. And I'm like, whoa, deep voice, coming with a passion and an understanding of football, asking a good question.
Yeah, we said that ain't Larry Mayer asking that question.
I heard y'all talking about Larry Mayer a minute ago. And shout out to Dionne Miller too. Dionne is phenomenal. I was watching y'all do y'all whole thing, but I heard y'all talking about Larry Mayer, man, for sure. He works for the Bears. Larry's a good guy. Larry's a good guy. And he does a job, but he works for the Bears. I mean, what you expect? That's
the problem. But that's it, Herb. I mean, we joke, but in all honesty, I grew up here in Connecticut, and my life was surrounded by getting a magazine called The Bear Report in the mail weekly. That was the way I got news on my favorite team. And Larry Mayer was in that magazine back then. when the reality of that comes to full circle and you're seeing, okay, some things never change. There is a classic, but there should be no Larry asking a question before Herb. I'm sorry. When you have a corporate guy throwing in a lollipop, it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't register for me. There's a place for Larry, and we joke about it. I just don't think his play. I know other teams like the Jaguars have their Jaguars.com writer asking questions, but if there's any kind of misgivings in here, I would say, especially when it comes to football, it just doesn't sit well. So I think the Bears need to rethink that. Have him lunch with Larry. He should be having sit-down interviews with Akeem Hicks, this person, Justin Field. They don't even do that for you guys. The fans are starving for this stuff, and I think it's a problem. And Larry, unfortunately, takes a lot of heat from us, but because it's been so, just to give context to it, it's been so long with this guy who works for the team asking a question. Like, come on now. It's like when Jeff Joniak's Ryan Pace on the Sunday morning. They've went over all these questions. No, not that one, not that. I don't want to answer. Like, who gives a shit about that? We want real answers to things and authenticity. And I think that's where our beef is with Larry. But 100%.
I get it.
Dionne Miller's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
She is, for sure. For sure she is. Shout out to Dionne Miller.
So enough with the pleasantries, I guess. Now it's time to get to some football talk.
Oh boy.
Let's do it.
One of the volatile things that we talk about here, Herb, is what is your take on David Montgomery?
Oh my God.
Running back David Montgomery.
Where is your
stance with him?
I think David Montgomery is a really good running back. I would stop just short of calling him, like an elite level running back. That's not to say that he can't be. I just don't think that we've seen him. I just don't think we've seen him hit that level just yet. We've seen the potential, we've seen the flashes, and maybe to no fault of his own, he just hasn't been able to hit that mark just yet. I mean, I know 1,000 yards is always kind of, the threshold that we're looking for from running backs, but really we talking about 75, 80 yards a game. I mean, like that's. I've never really understood the 1,000-yard threshold for running backs.
1,500.
That being said, I think that David Montgomery is a phenomenal running back. I really do. I think he can do a lot of things for you. He runs really, really hard. He always gets the extra yards. He rarely goes down on first contact. He's always falling forward. He's a good guy. He seems to be a really good leader for the team. He steps up when called upon in terms of facing the media to answer for tough losses or whatever may happen. And so I really like David Montgomery. I think he's one of the centerpieces that they can build around going forward. And I think that if they can put a really good offensive line in front of him and add some explosive pieces to the outside, which will open up that box for him a little bit more, he could certainly be a 1,500-yard back. I think he has that kind of ability, but I would stop just short of putting him, in that top 5 type running back just yet, because we just haven't seen that in totality, although he has shown the skill set to be able to do some of those things.
But that's the point. That's where I get fired up, because there's negligence with the head coach. So like you just described, an elite runner working in a shitty offense with a terrible offensive line, and he's doing these things. So when I look at the tape, this is where I think you, me, everybody has a responsibility. Fuck the 1,000-yard stat. Look at this guy's determination and pride. A coach that never, ever once said, you're the identity. If he had done that, he probably would still be coaching. That's the problem with him. He didn't respect what worked. This was a guy that was, and I'm going on a rant, but sorry, Herb, but this was a guy that came in here and said, I didn't come here to run the I formation. I'm not an idiot. I know David Montgomery. I know Jordan Howard's a great back. If I can't help Jordan Howard run, I shouldn't be. These are his quotes. Yeah. And he never, ever committed to it. So when you look at these elite runners like Alvin Kamara, I know he's got into trouble, but that's a great back in my analysis, right? That's an elite runner. Sean Payton identified this is an elite talent. We're going to do everything in our power to make him a part of what we do, the big part, and everything will go. this has never happened. So I'm excited to see how Luke Getsy looks at David Montgomery, because on tape, it never lies. David Montgomery does freakish shit in the holes outside and breaking these long runs. And Shayne said it best, and I'm still on this rant, but I love David, not because I know the guy. I love David because of what he does on tape. That doesn't lie to me. And what Shayne said, I've never seen a runner or an athlete put so much work into their weaknesses, looking in the mirror. What are my weaknesses? My speed. This guy went out there and worked his ass off on speed.
And it was apparent this year. You could see he was running differently.
Absolutely.
You could see it from day one of training camp. It's like he's running differently. That's a different kind of speed he's hitting. So I'm with you on that.
In the center, getting his ass waxed back into the backfield, and a right tackle who's not allowing a rookie to fucking stand up for his quarterback. All this stuff, and David is still facing Goliath every single Sunday. That's why I know this football player, to your point, I get what you're saying, because he hasn't done it. But I think these, in a team sport, you put Walter Payton back there, he had to deal with that kind of stuff. He wasn't the fastest, all of that, right? He never had breakaway speed. He ran hard. And he had a coach that said, that's our best talent. Let's do that. That'll be our identity. And the rest is history. With David, I feel like he's got a shitty end of the stick because he had a shitty head coach. That's it. That's my rant.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you 100% that he got the shitty end of the stick because, he wasn't in the right system. They weren't utilizing them properly. And again, I think he has displayed the skill set to be that elite level, top 5 back. But the fact is, we just haven't seen that. So it's hard for me to say I would rather have him over a Kamara, over a Jonathan Taylor. I can't say that because we just haven't seen it. Now, put him in the right situation. Could he do that? Perhaps. Again, he's shown the skill set to be able to do that. You just got to see it.
I love it. We'll return to that, like the Jedi. We'll return to that. I want to see what he is this year, and that's going to be exciting. Now,
a lot of that was on Matt Nagy, man, trying to bring his Chiefs system over to the Bears, and that's fine God. if you have those pieces, but you don't, right? And so that was the first thing I asked Luke Getsy when we had a chance to talk to him. It's like, listen. The previous regime came over, they come over from a high-powered offense, and they tried to implement that same system, even though they didn't have the same personnel. You come down from a high-powered, prolific offense, even though you don't have Devontae Adams, you don't have Aaron. Like, are you going to try to do that? Or are you going to try and coach to the players that you have? Because I think that's the sign of any good coach. Can you tailor your system and your week-to-week game plan to the roster that you have currently? And if you can do that, then I think the Bears will have some success. They could have had some success last year or the previous, but they stubbornly chose to play one way, even though their roster probably dictated they should play a different way.
What would you have done if Getsy said I wasn't brought here to run the I formation, Herb?
I just laughed like, all right, bro.
Oh
boy. Here we go again.
Yeah, right.
No, he was here to run the wishbone, guys. Right. That's what he's here to do, right? Or do the T formation all over again. That's what he's here for.
Right.
One of the guys that we talked about with Dionne a little bit, and I don't know, the way I personally feel, I'd love to have the guy back. I think the Bears are going to bring him back. I do not, but give me your take on Akeem Hicks. Do you think that the Bears are going to try to do the clean slate and say, we understand the issues that you had with the previous coaching staff, the previous regime, but we're going to give you a clean slate here, and if we can work out a fair deal for both of us, maybe that's something that we'll look at. And because I think about putting him at the 3-tech, and if he's healthy, man, that guy can wreck people. But give me your take on that and kind of what your gut feeling is with Akeem Hicks' future.
Yeah, I think it'd be smart for them to go ahead and sit down with him and see where his head is at, and say, hey, are you even open to the possibility of coming back here, or is that door completely shut? Because if it's not shut to you, here's a new regime. We're open to bringing you back. If the numbers make sense, we want you to be back here. He is a dominant dominant player on the inside of your defensive line. And if he's going to play the 3 technique, he's shown the ability. Obviously, he has the brute strength to just simply hold up at the point of attack, penetrate that backfield. But he also has the speed and athleticism to penetrate as a 3 technique, apply pressure from that position. And I think that if you can get him back, I don't see why you wouldn't at least want to explore the possibility. Now, he's a free agent, and you see what other offers are out there for him. He's getting up in age. And so, the business side of it will kind of take care of itself. But in terms of just closing the door on the possibility, I think that would be foolish. They better sit down with him and at least see where his head is at. Because if his head is in the right place and he's willing to come back and then he's healthy, there aren't many better interior linemen in the National Football League, even as he gets a little bit up in age.
Oh, he was freakish last year. My father and I do my father and I do a patron show called X's with the O's. Our last name is Otoshin, so play on words. We did Akeem Hicks, and we just showed every play he's playing in a 3 technique for those blog boys, I call them, the guys that use analytics to tell a story instead of actual tape. And here he is just dominating, just throwing linemen. And if you have, and Shayne has said this, and Cars have said this, Eberflus has never had 2 edge rushers like Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. In that philosophy, with Akeem Hicks being outside shaded on a guard, having to play him one-on-one, I'm telling you, they would be, I'm just double down on Herb. They would be out of their minds to not sit down with a veteran and say, hey, we know you could do it. Big boy, we're changing the whole culture. Are you on board with this? You would be so stupid, Ryan Poles and Eberflus, not to do that, because who in the draft is better than Akeem Hicks right now at 3 technique? I'll wait for that answer.
No, nobody. And I think that, Bilal Nichols is a guy who could also play that position. I think that, he's maybe better suited for that position than he's played some of the other positions up and down this defensive line since he's been here. I think he could be a productive 3 tech for you, but he's not Akeem Hicks. He's not Akeem Hicks. Akeem Hicks will definitely win his one-on-ones and hold the B gap for you. He will do that for sure. So that's what you want the guy to do. Holla at him. Like,
he's the
dude, right?
And he'll do it with a big smile, and just being like, yeah, I just completely dominated you, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is what we always love about him.
Were you at the practice where the drama happened with him and Rumpf and Nagy, and were you there?
I was the first person to report that something was going on. I was like, because I got out there early, and he was there, and then he just walked away. He just walked off the field. And I was like, so I kind of just watched him. And I was like, what is going on? So as a lot of the other media guys start, coming out, I was like, something is going on with King. And it's like, what you mean? I was like, he was over there, and then he just walked off the field. Nobody really was walking with him. He just walked and left. And then when he left, somebody came and talked to Nagy, and they stood and talked to Nagy, and they talked back and forth about it. And then somebody brought Nagy a telephone on the field, and I was like, "That's weird."
Like a rotary one?
No, right. No, somebody just brought him a cell phone. He stood on the field, just talking on the cell phone for like 5 minutes, and I was like, "This is just weird. Like something is going on." And of course, in true Bears fashion, they kind of downplayed it for a while. But this, certain things happen on a football field, and then some things don't. When something weird is happening. It was just very, very strange to see it. And then, we hadn't talked to him for a long time, and finally had a chance to talk to him. And I was like, why haven't we talked to you? Did you just not want to talk to us? Was there something going on? Like, what was the issue? And he was like, he kind of avoided it for a little while, and he just came around, was like, I'm here now. I want to play ball, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I definitely was there when that kind of weird thing just kind of took place. It was very, very strange to see. You could tell right off the bat that something was wrong.
I had heard that, and I don't know how much validity there is to this, that it all started with the medical end of it, that he came out and said that he was ready to go, and the doctors did not give him clearance, but he went out onto the practice field anyway. And that was they're like, no, we don't want you out. We're not taking any chances with you getting hurt out there when we don't want you out there, insurance purposes, all of that. And then, hey, the dude's a competitor, and shit happens. And when you're telling this guy that you're not ready, and he knows that he's ready, I mean, that's when shit gets volatile. But I don't know if that was the case, but kind of seems like probably that's what it is. But man, I know Phil's going to say 19 games, but being out of 20 games the last 3 years, I said that's
19. Just say
that's
it
going to be
forever on this.
No, it's 29 out of the last 49 because there's the 17th game. So he's played in 29 out of the last 49 games.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna trump. But Phil, I'm just saying, you're talking about one game. It doesn't.
I'm just saying he was playing amazing football down the stretch. I mean, you pop in that Vikings game.
You're missing my point. Is I'm saying he's been injured
I
a
agree.
lot.
Yes,
that's probably going to trump pretty much everything moving forward. They may have him flagged medically. You know, this new regime. We don't know that, but getting into another guy, Eddie Jackson. I'd love to hear your takes on Eddie.
Eddie's probably the most interesting case on the team for me because he came in with the broken leg, so he slid in the draft a little bit, and people had him first, second round talent in terms of his grade coming out. The Bears got him in the fourth, and then he comes in, he's instantly making plays all over the field, and he becomes a Pro Bowler and then an All-Pro, and it's like, the Bears may have just got another great safety in that Mike Brown mode. And it's like, okay, this could be the guy who holds down the back end for you for a decade. And he got his money. And I don't always like to make that direct correlation for players and say, oh, as soon as they get their money, then they kind of just stop caring. They stop playing at that same level. But right around that time, he stopped playing quite as well. And so I think that you kind of wonder, like, what is it? And I think that for me, I think you just got to kind of let a guy be who he is. And he is a ball hawk that likes to play on the back end and find the ball and make plays on the ball in the air. And he's never been I won't say he's not a willing tackler, but he's never been a guy who's, too eager to come up and make plays in the running game or come up and make tackles on people. He'll do it from time to time. That's not who he is. He wants to kind of fly around and make plays. That being said, he hasn't even been doing that. He hasn't even been getting his hands on the football. And so if you have a guy who's not, who's not really all that great at tackling or in terms of desire to really want to do it, and then he's also not getting his hand on the ball, then what does he bring to you, right? If he's not going to be taking the ball away at the level that he was in his first couple of years, then what does he bring to you? And so I think that, the Bears have to hold out a hope that he can get back to that level where he is a game changer, who he is, getting interceptions and forcing turnovers. If he can return to that guy, I think he can still help him because I think, you can't deny that he has the talent. He didn't just forget how to do those things, right? He has that kind of ability. We've seen him do it. And so, the hope is that he can get back to that level. I don't know what's been keeping him from doing that over the past couple of years.
That heavy-ass wallet.
You're 100% right about the wallet, but there is an arrogance that has superseded his career. Shayne always talks about Nick Saban benching the captain, and all of a sudden that wake-up call happened, and then Eddie's story changed. Here in Chicago, we're looking at Eddie Jackson talking to young players, Herb, and they put this video out for everyone to see. Anybody could tackle. And then you want to be a star, you got to get the ball. You can't tackle. That's the travesty, is that you're the leader of these young kids looking at you, and that whole culture manipulation that, Grody and everyone was trying to sell us here. And I'm like, of course the locker room loves the guy. He doesn't hold anybody accountable. And we're club dubbing after a 6-game losing streak. I've coached football my whole life. You think I'm letting kids jump around and dance after we've lost 6 in a row? That's for comedy. But anyway, Eddie Jackson is a part of this culture. You've been around him. Is this guy going to be able to buy into Eberflus's get your track shoes on, no loafs, hits mentality? Is he going to be able to buy into that in your mind?
It doesn't really seem like that's the kind of mentality that he has in terms of, busting your ass every play, running. I don't know that seems to be the type of guy that he is. That being said, he did come from Alabama, and Nick Saban's a no-nonsense guy who's going to demand those things from you and going to hold you accountable. I think that, you had Sean Desai, praising him for his ability to understand defensively what they were trying to do in terms of moving him around different places all over the field. But I don't know about holding him accountable. And so when he's being forced to be held accountable, I don't know how he'll respond to that. Will he shut down? Will he say, okay, I'm coming up on into my contract, I'll get another contract and go somewhere else? I don't know how he will respond to that. I just know that when you see a player who has flashed elite level talent, you want to try and figure out what has gone wrong and can you tap back into that before you give up on him. I would hate for him to go be a 49er or a Jet or whatever, and then he's back 7-8 interceptions a season and goes on to continue to be a Pro Bowl player. So I think that the Bears should exhaust every avenue possible to try and figure out how can we tap back into the player that we know that he can be before we say, hey, I'm done with this dude. He got his money and he was done playing ball. That very well may be the case, but I think that I would certainly, try everything I could to tap back into that elite level player that we saw his first couple years in the league.
Great point. That would be the first call I make if I was the head coach. I'm serious. I would call Eddie Jackson into, as much as I study the Bears, and I hope Eberflus did this. They said they did. We'll get into that footage of them all watching. Did you guys see this?
On the
all of them watching. I like that. But he would be the first guy I call. And I want you guys, your opinion on this. Me, the head Phil Itoja, the head coach of Chicago Bears, go through the whole minutia of the interview, talking with Herb and Dionne. Then I go in, Eddie, Coach Atoshin, when can you come down? I want to talk to you. That would be my first call, and we'd sit down. Are you going to buy into this? Because if you're not, I don't want you. And I would put it straight out to see what kind of man, see what kind of integrity he has as a football player. Because right now, to your point, the talent is there. And if you can get a partnership, and football, if you're not all on the same page, the page is torn. And he is the most he's the most intricate, weird thing. If he buys in, that back end could be something special. If he doesn't, it becomes a cancer. Is the coach going to decide to not hold him accountable? Or is he going to, play this loosey? Because then you lose the locker room. So you're going to have to lay the hammer down. And he's the most, Tariq Cohen's another person that we got to talk about. But Eddie is the most, he's in a position to start and become something special, especially on a hash reading, front to back. Now, all of a sudden, he could play his style. If he buys in, he becomes a very good football player. There's been Dante Jones, Shayne. He was former middle linebacker. Remember my boy, Dante Jones. He said it on this show. It took me a while to buy into it. I kick myself every day because I didn't buy into it. And at first, I could have been the better player than I was. It was the first time I've heard a professional say, I regret that I didn't buy into and make myself the best. You get one life and time runs out in football. So I'm sorry I went on another rant, but I think he is that big of a question mark of this whole team. He's the biggest for me, even over Justin Fields, who we haven't talked about. Eddie Jackson. Is he buying in? Isn't he buying in? That should be a huge
I hope he does, because he can be a game changer for him. I think that he's also one of those guys who just needs one. He needs one of those guys who just needs a big play. I think if he gets that big play, then you'll start to kind of see him stack up for him, and he'll be that much more excited about trying to find that next big play. And unfortunately for him, while he has had, the pick sixes and the scoop and scores, he's also had, a handful of them taken away from him. And, that's always something that he's kept count of and says, man, they took another one away from me. And I remember asking him about that this year. Like, if he continued on the trajectory he was in terms of scoring on defense, you're talking about starting to get into like that Hall of Fame territory where he's talking about 15 and 20 touchdowns on the defensive side of the ball. And they've taken 4 or 5 away from him. Again, they took another one away from him this season on a fumble down towards the goal line, and it was like he gets frustrated about those things. But I think that if he can get one of those plays where he can get his hands on the ball, find his way to the end zone, and I think he'll get that spark back, and he'll become that player that we've seen, early in his career, where he's looking for those opportunities to make those game-changing plays, to jump on the ball, to punch the ball out, to scoop and score. And if he does that, it becomes contagious, not only for him, but for the rest of the team. And I think that he is absolutely one of the most intriguing players on this entire roster because, one, his elite level of pure talent, but also his lack of production over the past 2 years.
My question is kind of, we've talked a little bit about Akeem, but really we're in this weird kind of place right now, right? Where we're 6-11, we've got a lot of older guys, and we're about to have to kind of go through a youth movement. So I know we've talked a little bit about Eddie, who's still young, but when you look at this roster, like going forward for this year, like who are the key young guys other than Justin that you're really looking at to kind of make next steps or next leaps that to either show that they're, like, I look at Jalen Johnson, right? Like, are you that guy, or are you just a pretty good corner? Are you going to make that leap? Like, which guys are you looking towards the most to make that kind of step this year?
I think for me, and I love Jalen Johnson, I'll come back to that, but I think for me, it's those young tackles, right? Do you have the 2 bookend tackles that you need for the next decade? And I think that was a misstep for the Bears last year in terms of not finding out definitively if those 2 guys were your guys. And I know that Tevin was injured most of the time, but once he came back and he was healthy and ready to play, he should have gotten every single snap at one of the tackle spots. Yeah. Left tackle, right tackle, I don't care. Put him out there, let him get his ass kicked, let him block, let him do whatever he's going to, let him hold, whatever he's going to do. Put him out there for every single snap. Jason Peters had been there. He played more than serviceable football for the Bears. I commend him from coming off his couch and playing that way. I salute him. But I always say, listen, JP, we appreciate you, man. You can stay if you want to stay. You can go home if you want to go home. But I got to find out if this kid is going to be our tackle going forward. Because if you know that, right, if you get that thing solidified and you're confident going into 2022 that Tevin and Larry Borum are your tackles going forward, now you can be confident in terms of looking for young playmakers to put around Justin. But if you're not sure you can protect them, that still has to be priority number 1. And so I think that, they're going into this season kind of hoping that Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins are the answer. And I think that they should have definitively found out last year. And
do you think that was sabotage by Coach Nagy?
I won't say intentionally sabotage. I think that you had a guy that was trying to save his job. And so he was just trying, who gives me the best chance to win right now? Is it 40-year-old Jason Peters? Is it 22-year-old Tevin Jenkins? And Jason Peters was playing better ball. And so I think he was just trying to figure out, how can I get the best 11 guys on the field? And so I don't think he had any mind at all for what was best for the Bears going forward. He's like, what's best for Matt Nagy on this snap and that snap and that snap? And so I understand where he was coming from on that piece, but I think that, it was incumbent upon the Bears organizationally to say, hey, I don't know if we're going to keep you next year or not as head coach, but put that dude on the field right now, or you won't be here tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Put him on the field, because I need to know if we have our tackle of the future right now. And so I would first, start with those 2 guys. And then the other young guys, obviously you talk about, Darnell Mooney, we mentioned David Montgomery. But Jalen Johnson is a guy that I do think can be an elite corner in this league. I think he has shown flashes of being able to do that. I think that he showed himself really, really well against Devontae Adams for the majority of the game when he did have the opportunity to shadow him in that first game. I think that he can be that elite level player. I want him to trust his instincts a little bit more, to shoot his guns a little bit more, to see it and jump it. I think he plays it a little bit safe sometimes, and he doesn't have that elite level speed and quickness to kind of hesitate. Like, if he jumps it, he can get it. But if he hesitates for just a second, he's going to be a half step late. And so I think for him, it's just about trusting his instincts, believing what he's seeing, and then going to get it. Against Minnesota in the last game of the season, they ran deep double crosses on him. And there was a miscommunication on the back end. And he was the only person who understood what was happening. And so as his guy once came down the field and went to go shoot across the field, instead of chasing him, he went to yell across the field to the safety in the other corner, hey, cross, take him. And as he let his guys go, he kind of went to peel back and get the other crosser that was coming his way. But at some point while he was doing that, he kind of just like stopped and said, "Oh, I don't know if they picked up what I don't know if they picked up what I was picking up." And so he kind of froze and then gave it the touchdown on the sack. And I asked him after the game, I was like, "Jalen, you saw that. Like, I know you saw it because you called it out and then you went to pivot and come back the other way and then you just kind of stopped and then gave it the easy touchdown. Like, what were you thinking?" He's like, "Man, you called it. I did see it. And I called it out." Like, so why didn't you shoot your gun and go make that play? That would have been a phenomenal play to display your instincts and ball skills, right? And I think that for him, it's just having that confidence, having that trust to say, "Man, I am going to go make plays on the football." It's the elite level plays that you see great players make. You go back and watch film of the Ed Reeds, of the Deion Sanders, they getting picks in places they have no business being. Like, you should not be there. You should have been way over there, and here you are making a pick over here because you saw something and instinctively you went and jumped it because you weren't afraid to make that play. If Jalen can get to that level where he trusts his instincts and shoots his guns, I think that he will be, an elite level corner in this league. So I really like him. Obviously, Roquan Smith is certainly a centerpiece that you build around. So I do think they have some young players that they can build around on both sides of the football. Can they add those complementary pieces around them? Can they add that explosive element offensively? Again, I like Darnell Mooney. I don't know that he is a elite level number one. I think he's kind of maybe a mid-tier, bottom half number one, but he's the elite number two. If he's your number two,
absolutely agree.
That's where you want to be. If he's your number one, and so they got some young pieces for sure.
Let me ask you this about a guy that my guy here, Bears Nerd, is in love with, but I felt like there was a chemistry between this guy and Justin Fields that a coach should, who understands football and is a guru. Jasper Horsted.
I know you were going Jasper.
Look at you. Look at you.
My boy. We don't talk bad about Jasper. So if you have anything bad to say there, you can badmouth David Montgomery all you want, but Jasper,
no.
You draw the line.
Seriously, it's easy for me as a coach to see Jasper Horsted. It wasn't just the connection, it was the ability. But it was almost like there was politics into, we got to put Jimmy Graham out there. Again, not seeing the fruits of anyone's labor, like the hard work. Jasper goes out there, makes plays every time. You could see Justin Fields feels comfortable with him. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the tape never lies, right? If he's out there, he gets his opportunity.
Another drop.
He makes plays. He gets his opportunities and he makes plays. He made tough catches in the end zone. He made tough catches in tight spots, contested catches when he's covered. I think that you got to just continue to give him his opportunities. Now, obviously, you got Jimmy Graham, who may be a Hall of Famer. You got a second-round pick in Cole Kmet. And so those are guys that you want to put out there and say, hey, we got to play these guys. I don't got to do shit but put the best player on the field. And this dude is out here making plays. And so if he's out there making plays, you keep putting him out there. And some of the catches that we saw him make, whether he's scooping it off the carpet or he's going up over the middle or he's adjusting in midair, these are things you cannot deny. And obviously, Justin had a comfort level with him when he was in trouble or even when he was covered. He's like, listen, this is a guy I feel comfortable going to. We saw that chemistry kind of develop in training camp, and that was one of the
reps.
That was one of the unintended consequences of the Bears' missteps in not getting Justin Fields prepared to play with the number ones. He was playing with 2s and 3s down the line, and it was like, okay, well, he developed some chemistry with the Jasper Horsteds of the world, and and the Rodney Adams of the world, and it's like, okay, cool. Now when he's on the field with him, he's able to make plays, and so I would have continued to give Jasper Horsted his opportunities, and I hope that the new regime comes in and says, hey, I didn't draft Cole Kmet number 2. I don't care that you went to Notre Dame. Like, this dude is out here making plays, and he has everybody's got an even slate. And if you beat him out, cool. If you don't beat him out, Jasper, you the man.
That is a mic drop. I would have texted you if I had your cell phone number. I got to get it from you, by the way, so I can't in the future. But I would have said, can we just ask them as a coach, why isn't Jasper playing more? I would love to have heard the answer to that. Would it be the Nagy-ism of I don't talk about, but I got to watch the tape, whatever he was, or would you get an authentic answer? Because it just was like, just so easy.
He would have came out and said, listen, sometimes, we have certain packages for guys, but the game doesn't allow us to get to those packages.
Yes.
Game situations doesn't dictate that we can get to those packages. And so we may have put some things in for him this week, but we just didn't get to those things. And so it would have been this whole right. He would have never said, you know what, you're right. He deserves more opportunities. We're going to get him more opportunities. He would have never said that. So
they did that. They did that 2 seasons ago with Cole Kmet. Yeah, we really got to get Cole out there, and then he was gone for the next 5
week.
games and got no play. But we have a couple of guys under contract at wide receiver. You mentioned Darnell Mooney, Daz Newsome is. I happen to be a fan, but we don't know. The NFL game's a different game.
Sure.
But free agency coming up. Do you have any favorites that you think that you would like to see the Bears kind of target in free agency at wide receiver to maybe add some explosion? I know a lot of the big guns up top. I mean, Devontae Adams obviously is Bears fans need to just forget about that. But Godwin and Gallup, 2 guys that I think that they probably would have at least been interested in coming off those knee injuries. But other than that, are there any guys that at least pique your interest potentially in Chicago?
Quite honestly, I don't love the crop of free agent wide receivers this year. I mean, Devontae Adams is there, and he's obviously the big fish, and he'll go get his money, whether it's in Green Bay or elsewhere. I doubt that he'll be coming south to Chicago. If possible, go ahead and get him, right? That would be great. I don't see that happening at all. But other than that, I don't really love the crop of receivers. I know a lot of people really, really like Godwin. I think he's fine. I think he's really good, but he's coming off the injury. Gallup, an explosive guy. He's flashing mobility. Haven't seen that sustained for the over 3-4 year period or anything like that. So none of them are people I'm really excited about. You got Mike Williams. He's got some size and some ability, those types of things. But I think you're talking about a lot of guys who in some ways are Allen Robinson-esque. When you talk about just having big bodies that can, be possession receivers, can get you to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, which is valuable when you need those things. But I don't love this crop of free agent receivers. And I think you're talking about a deep draft at wide receiver where you can find some guys at pick 39 that may be able to come in day one and help you at the wide receiver position. Again, this is why going back to last year, you needed to find out if you have your bookend tackles going forward, and you don't have to worry about that. Now you can definitely go into this draft saying, okay, this is all about finding explosive talent on the outside. And so I don't want to see the Bears hop into free agency and throw a whole lot of money at the wide receiver position.
I agree.
I don't love the crop this year.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's just kind of where I'm at with that. There's no talent there, but I don't let you find your true number 1 receiver there unless you get Devontae Adams.
Right. I guess I should have prefaced all of that with, we've talked about, like, as a network, like a guy like Isaiah McKenzie piques my interest. A guy coming into his own, a guy like James Washington, guys that aren't going to break the bank, but they can bring some of these assets that the Bears, listen, to me, it's been evident for years. Just all you have to do is watch kickoffs and punts to see the speed discrepancy with this team. There's a lack of speed and explosion everywhere. Let's be honest.
Now,
the Bears have to go. I don't want them to go big game shopping at wide receiver either, but I think they got to bring in at least a couple of these guys that are lower tiered, like I just mentioned.
I love McKenzie.
Yeah, Isaiah McKenzie is a guy that I would absolutely. A guy that's been injured and to me still has some. I'm interested in a guy like Traquan Smith out of New Orleans. He's a guy that you want to try to catch these guys that are on the upward swing, and just take a chance and try to get your lightning in a bottle. And then, like you said, Herb, 39, it's a complete wild card because we don't know. Crazy things happen in the draft. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you never know how that thing shakes out. You talk about, okay, this guy is going to be gone by the first round. This guy's definitely going to go in the first round. Yeah. But I don't know that we're going to see 6-7 receivers go in the first round. And you might get a guy like Chris Olave. Shout out to Mr. Mayhem for coming up. Like you may get that. He may be there for you at 39. Maybe. I don't want to see the Bears trade up this year, only having 5 picks. And you talk about Ryan Post coming in, talking about building through a draft. I don't want to see him leverage more future draft picks to move up this year. I'd rather him kind of either stay pat, or if he finds some value and be able to move down a little bit and add a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th or something like that. But, you never know. Some of these guys may fall to you at 39. And if that happens, then you sit there and see who's available. And if you like one of those guys, go ahead and pull the trigger and pair them with Darnell Mooney, or if you talk about bringing A-Rod back. But, I think that's a better option than kind of throwing big money at those wide receivers. Now, I like what you're thinking, Shane, in terms of just saying like, yo, can we look at some of these maybe mid-tier, second-tier guys in the free agent market and say, hey, here's a guy on the upswing that we don't have to break the bank for, and he may come in and play at that elite level in terms of production for us. And so I think that that's probably the better way to go instead of throwing money at a Godwin or somebody like that.
Yeah, you go out and you get a guy like Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, I know it's a little bit redundant because they'd have to bring back a guy like Jakeem Grant. I think there's more upside at wide receiver with a guy like McKenzie. I just big fan of his game, but you go out and get another guy like Washington. I know DJ Chark is another name that's out there. To me, there's a little more inconsistencies there and a guy that doesn't stay healthy. But that's what makes the draft so. You just never know, man. You
Shayne, we talked about it.
Jameson Williams drops to 39.
Could be there at
I'm
39.
Sprinting to the fucking podium.
If he drops to 33, I'm fine with shooting up. I'm fine. Everything I said about not trading up, throwing it out the window. Go do it. And I don't even care if he play this year. Go get him. Like go
totally
that
agree, man.
Go get him.
He's gonna drop. I wanted to interject one stat.
If he drops and the Bears make that move, man, I'm going to be Justin Fields happy like I was last year.
They played together too. A lot of people forget he was at Ohio State with Justin. He is an elite talent. They keep talking about that in their pressers. He's gonna fall. And for the record, no one has ever predicted. I think one person has predicted the first round of an NFL draft in the last how many years correctly of every player was in the it's never been done before. So when all of these blog boys tell me, oh, Lindenbaum, he's never going to be there in the second, you don't know. A run on centers is going to happen. No, the DNs start going. Why? Oh, we need a receiver. Oh, that receiver went. We got to get our guy. You better get. All of a sudden, it pushes people that weren't there. And that's the great thing about the draft. Last year, Herb, we covered the draft live, and Cars actually predicted it the night before. We had a mock draft. He traded up. He got Justin Fields. We predicted Tevin Jenkins. So we were hitting it out of the park here. Just in our now, I'm a big believer in Tevin Jenkins at left tackle. Put him there. I agree with you. I thought it was a sabotage by Nagy because it's just not forward thinking. He was just thinking about himself. So maybe we're both saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you had to, and that's just so Bears from our past history. Lovey did the same shit. Dick Duran did it. They don't go out of their way. Okay, let's give some of these young bucks. We're not making the playoffs. Some reps that are going to be valuable to the future. There's never been a coach that I've witnessed in my life, 48 years now, watching this team. Well, 42 years.
You're just old as shit. It's fine.
Yeah,
I could have said the same time.
Anyway, they've never forward thought and said, let's get these young kids some reps. There's never been a maybe Ditka did, but I was young watching them. But just in my life, I've never witnessed. So to your point, that I totally agree. I think we're saying the same thing here with Nagy. Let me ask you this. Roquan Smith, obviously today he was at, I don't know if it was you that asked it, is about Roquan being, is he going to play the middle linebacker? And then Eberflus responds by saying, I could tell you this, he'll be playing inside backer.
I think he just mixed up his words.
No,
on that.
But I'm saying in a 4-3 defense, they're all inside linebackers. That's what he was trying to say, because you're all inside the box. That's all he was trying to. I'm not telling you if he's playing Sam, Mike, or Will. I would always coach my linebackers. You're all inside linebackers. You all got to read your reads, your keys. Obviously, his philosophy, I believe, is the same. But speak on Roquan Smith. We all believe that he's going to be earmarked to play that will linebacker like Lance Briggs, like Derek Brooks in the past. He's the perfect fit there. Are you on that same train?
Yeah, I think so. I think you put him there, it frees him up to kind of make more plays on the ball. I think that you could put him in the middle too. I think wherever you put Roquan Smith, he's going to make plays. But if you're trying to funnel the defense to him, right, and actually bring the ball to him, then you put him at will and you let him go out there and be that feature guy to make those plays. Brian Urlacher was able to dominate in the cover two in the middle of the defense because he was something nobody had ever seen. Right? We're not seeing 6'5", 260, 4.5 speed, 40 yards down the field. You're not seeing that, right? And so, if you're talking about just what this defense is designed for, it's designed to funnel the ball to Lance Briggs, to Derrick Brooks, free them up, let them make plays. And I think that if you put Roquan Smith in that position, he has the instincts. He's got a nose for the ball. He's able to find it. He's able to read it. He understands when screens are coming. He understands angles to the football. And then he has the explosiveness and flat-out speed to get there and make the play. He's a short tackler. When he gets there, he arrives with violence. Put him at will. Let him go ahead and play ball. He'll be, 17, 18 tackles every game for you. So just put him out there. Let him go make plays all day long. I think that is the best spot to put Roquan Smith. I would definitely put him at will in this defense.
Me too.
Totally agree. To me, I'm a big Roquan Smith fan. I need to see more impact plays from him, and this is going, like you said, Herb. This is going to give him that opportunity because him at the will in this defense, he is going to seek and destroy. I mean, it literally fits in perfectly to what he is. But to me, he's another kid that's got to get in shape. He's got to get in better shape. I mean, Roquan.
I heard y'all saying that, yeah.
And he's not the body beautiful dude that he's still got a little bit of that baby fat on him. I've seen him in the off season. You see him and you're like, God damn, this dude's
Shayne don't remember Levon Kirkland.
Levon Kirkland, Steelers. Big 99.
I was like, this dude's body, he looks like.
And he was fast too for some reason. He's like 5'10", 300 pounds, just laying dudes out.
He was like 320. He went to Philly for a short time. He was like 330.
How is this guy that big?
Ridiculous.
You look like a nose guard playing Mike.
No, I feel you, but it's hard for me to criticize Roquan on that because I don't know that he could be more explosive. You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't know that he can get sideline to sideline faster than he does. Maybe.
Yeah.
CrossFit and that shit.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I've been a big proponent, and we're not going to see it this year, obviously, because Eberflus is not a guy he's not going to blitz. Very, very rarely, if ever, is he going to blitz. He's going to win.
Should.
Yeah, no,
I hope he does.
I hear you, man. We've been
when Roquan blitzes, he gets home.
He gets there.
When he blitzes, he gets home, and I think it's his instincts, it's his explosiveness, and it's his speed. Like when you send him, he gets there.
Totally agree, Phil. How I mean, even you go back to a guy when
Kwiatkowski
was here. It seemed like every time they said Kwiatkowski when he was here,
my God,
he got home.
That's a guy that could come back at Mike.
If there is one overriding theme with Eberflus, and I've talked to Colts fans, and you see it on tape, man, it's front four and pretty vanilla from there.
I mean, that's what you want. That's what the cover two is designed to do. And I think that again, because like y'all said earlier, you've got Robert Quinn and you got Khalil off the edge. You should be able to create pressure with your four, especially if you bring back a King. Like you should be able to create pressure with your front four without having to blitz. But I still think a well-timed strategic blitz on, 2nd and 4, like send those dudes, man, and go ahead and make that's where you get those game-changing plays from. You don't always have to wait until it's 3rd and 5 to do it. Send them on 2nd and 8 and
see those interception numbers go up.
Yeah,
safety, that's for sure.
I mean, Eberflus hasn't had that talent at edge. I don't think Bears fan. In fact, I know because of what we do here, and there has been fans of our show that said thank you so much. I was one of those Mac haters looking at the stat sheet, not recognizing
that irks me. It really does.
Oh, it just it infuriates
to me, I would always ask, what are you watching? Like, what are you just waiting at the end of the game and looking at the stat sheet and not having watched the game? Because if you watch the game, you're just waiting to the end of the game. It's like, oh, he didn't have any sacks. He had half a tackle. And did you see the game? Did you see he's impacting every single play? Every single play he's impacting it, whether he makes that play or not. When I coach football, I would always tell my guys, you don't have to make the tackle to make the play. You can make the play without making the tackle. And for me, I will always intentionally acknowledge who made the play. I might not even say nothing to the dude who made the tackle. I'm a good tackle, but you made the play over here, right? And Khalil made so many plays for the Bears, even if he doesn't make the tackle, just by taking on double teams, flushing the pocket, closing off a gap, all those different things, those really, really matter. Even getting sacks for other guys because they're running away from you and they just fall into somebody else's arms. So I never understood when people were like, he's not producing, he's not playing the same level. I don't know what you're watching. That dude is dominating.
That's why you have officially become a TTNL family member. I don't care what.
Mama made
it. Get in somebody's ass today.
What cars? That's the only requirement. You got to get in all of those blog boys, the stat scouts, all of those guys. Because listen, I was the defender of Robert Quinn and this whole network, saying, listen, this guy's he's a pinch second late and he's playing injured. Don't get it twisted. This ain't no fucking Leonard Floyd
and a bad foot.
This ain't Leonard Floyd here. This is a freaking elite level pass run. And what happened? It happened. The same thing I said about Khalil Mack that you're saying. And that we can disagree on David a little bit. We could disagree on some things, but that's the litmus test for me. If somebody is talking shit about Khalil Mack, your perfect drop is that. What are you watching? What in God's name? Because I sit there, X's with the O's. I will bring you on with me and my dad. We'll watch some tape together as we break down.
I would love to.
Okay, cool. We'll bring you on, and we're going over all the free agents and free agent possibilities. Me and my dad, and then on our patron side, and then Shayne, me, and George Berlissimo, who is one of our producers and analysts. Yeah. He's the one who reached out to you.
Yeah, I've been talking to him.
Yeah. He's like, Phil, this guy's a perfect for the show. He asked, he's the black dude that asked the great questions. That was your.
Give me a T-shirt, brother. Give me the black dude that asked the great questions.
Yeah. We're gonna give you a TTNL swag, but we won't put that on. No, we won't put the black dude that asked.
What you drinking there in the background, Herb? You got
a sipping.
I'm doing a little Tito's and Simply. That's kind of my go-to these days. Tito's and Simply lemonade is where I'm at with it.
Are you on the keto diet? Is that what you're doing?
I am I need to be on somebody's diet, but I am not.
He's on the seafood diet. He sees
food. Yeah, seafood and I eat it. That's why I'm at with it.
Let's watch this clip today, courtesy of Good Morning Football. This is Ryan Poles, and I want all of us to react to it.
Tradition stands out. It's really cool. It's surreal. When you're going into the facility, you're typing in your GPS 1920 football drive. And then you pull up and you're going by George Halas's statue. And then they've created this hallway when you enter. As you walk down, it's almost like a tunnel. It's black. And as you walk down, the white lights start to go off. And it's Peyton, it's Sayers, it's Butkus. And it gives you intent every day to live up to that standard. And everyone should feel that. So it's exciting, and I'm ready to do this. Tradition stands out.
So there you go. I'm watching that, even though Jackal sent me the wrong clip. I was looking for the
Jackal don't do shit.
You don't do shit. Oh, you know that song?
How do you not?
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jackal better do some shit.
Now I need to copy that song because I'm gonna. That's my jam now.
Listen, TTNL, Herb. I don't know. I was a rap artist back in the '90s. Shayne convinced me to bring it back. He's probably regretting that. now. But in all honesty, we've hired a director of music who's a producer and one of my best friends. It's technology is shitty for some things, but other things it's great, like this, because I've met some amazing people like yourself. We'd never be able to do this if it wasn't for some technology. And I've met Cool Kennedy. I know he's in the chat. He is a huge fan of yours. You're the voice of the people.
Salute. I appreciate that.
We are producing we produce all our original music on this.
We had to
network.
get rid of our old producer because he gave us shit like this. Herb, check this one out. Did it?
What was that?
Oh, where did it go?
What was that?
I think
StreamYard's getting.
He looked naked.
This one? Oh, you never seen?
RLA is.
Here.
Oh, that's the juice, baby. Yo, I feel the juice in my mouth. Yo, the juice in your ass like Florida orange, baby. Yo, pulp free. Hell no, I need the pulp. Need a whole bunch of pulp in that goddamn ass. Yo, get on top of me. I see you, you're on top of me. I can't even see the rest of your body. Your ass is fat. Then you're sitting down, baby, on my face. I'm sucking your pussy and your ass in the same place. You gotta work that ass for daddy. Oh, work that ass. Gotta work that ass for daddy. Your ass is mine, bitch. Your ass is mine. Gonna suck on it. Work that ass
for daddy.
One of his tamer ones.
See Larry Mayer do a bio on fucking Mark Rebel leg, right?
Work that ass. Work that.
I'm adding that to my playlist.
There you
go. I'm adding that to my playlist when my lady come through.
That's what I'm talking about.
If you wear that new
Turn
t-shirt,
right back around and walk out the door. All right, we're good.
If you wear that new t-shirt and blast that song walking into House Hall, you're gonna be a fucking superstar, bro.
I'm going to have my credentials removed.
Shit, these doors opened yesterday.
Dionne is playing her anthem. He's playing "Work That Ass for Daddy." All
Hilarious.
What happened?
Hilarious.
TTNL's invading.
One night on TTNL, and here we go.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, we do all original music, not "Work That Ass for Daddy," but Cool Kennedy does work his ass off for the network and making these
super talented.
I gave him one job. We have a new anthem, and I did my lyrics, and Cool Kennedy's like, Phil, there's a couple like pops on your words you gotta do. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta do all these lyrics. And he's a perfectionist, but it's all for the best of the network. And we'll be working. That's what we do. Like your intro, hip hop and everything is a part of this network, and it'll never change. And we're super proud of that. But speaking of tradition there, I was looking for the quote, guys. I don't know if you could pull the clip where he's talking about, I want players that want to etch their name, not worry about the money, Jackal, to be more clear. But that right there, talking about tradition.
Listen to what I'm saying, Eddie. That's what I felt like. We need you to be the dude.
Well, I think what you've kind of hit on is like with most of these guys, we're still in this thing of like, I need a little bit more. Like, we love Darnell Mooney, but I need a little bit more. We love Jalen. I need a little bit more. Like, we've spent the last 2 years with a lot of these.
Don't leave your boy David out.
Well, I mean, Shayne and I agree he's not coming back because he's not getting an extension, and that's fine. But
don't leave Darnell out for this guy.
I said Darnell already.
I got the hat. What up, Herb?
Have you met Claudio the barber?
What up, bro?
I was definitely watching earlier. Y'all was trying to get the yo drop in there. He kept missing the yo.
Yes.
It's only been 2 years.
It's only been 2 years, Herb. We got to indoctrinate
It'd be the same if I hit
to the whole TTNL family tonight.
Yeah,
I got to shout out Barlissimo. He always knows who's
Claudio's best work.
Oh, this is Claudio the barber. Yo, 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 this is Claudio the barber. Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, keeping it 100. Listen, it's Jesper Horsted's world, and we're just all living in it. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, keeping it 100. I see you, Sherry. I see you.
This is Michael the fucking killer right here. All right?
Never mind. Take him off. I can't even understand him because of the mask. It's done. Take it off.
Smoke weed every day.
There he is, Claudio. Now you guys know.
Michael the killer, bro. Didn't get enough love. He did not get enough love.
Herb, seriously, great. You see the different levels of emotion he had with his yos. I mean,
everyone was different. Yo.
Yeah, the first 10 had no energy. It was like low energy Claude.
Listen,
Jasper Horsted's world, and we're just living. That's the best. It fits perfectly tonight.
Love it.
Claudio the Barber is back, guys. If you're just tuning in, we have my guy Herb Howard. This dude is on the beat. He hasn't spit any bars, but he's on the Bears beat, and we are super excited to have him on joining us. Claudio the Barber's back. We got Bears Nerd. If you're listening on the podcast version, you could follow Herb at it went down. Someone took the names off. I was going to read it.
It's Herb Howard 411.
There it is. What's the 411? Herb
You know
Howard.
what? I created that, and it took me a while. I had to actually see it to think that to realize that it said 411 as an information. My birthday is April 11th. That's really where that came from.
I like we're going to go to you for the Bears information. So it worked. It cleverly worked.
Yeah,
Not
for sure.
like Jackal. He don't do shit. We all figured that out. But let me ask you this. Eddie Goldman, is he coming back, or is he June 1st cap casualty?
I would like to see him come back. I think that, he's a guy just off his sheer brute strength can hold up at the point of attack. You let him sit, especially if you're talking about bringing Akeem Hicks back, or even if you got Bilal next to him in that 3 technique, let him sit there and hold up at the point. I think that he's a guy that can command a double team in the running game. He can, plug up that gap and just let him be there. I think that he is a really, really, really good defensive tackle for you. I don't care if he's playing nose, 0-1, doesn't matter. His strength allows him to hold up at the point of attack. And then you put all those athletes around him. And again, let him make the play, even if they make the tackle. So people, again, will go to the stat sheet at the end of the game and say, oh, Eddie Goldman didn't make any tackles. Eddie Goldman took on double and triple teams all game long. And so somebody else made those tackles. Hold up at the point of the attack. All you have to do is make that running back change directions in the backfield. Make him shift his feet. Make him jump over to another hole. That's doing your job as a defensive tackle in that scheme. And so I think that if the Bears are able to find a way to bring him back, go ahead and bring him back. Like, go ahead. If you don't find something better to do with the money, go ahead and bring him back. I think that he can be a very, very productive player for you, can help you win games on defense. Listen, this is an interesting team when you come talking about having a new regime. Usually a new regime comes in and they take over an empty cupboard. This isn't an empty cupboard. I know a lot of people talk about, a rebuild, and I can certainly see that in terms of, you don't have a lot of draft capital, you don't have a lot of money to play with, and you got a lot of expiring contracts. But you also have some guys on this roster who are ready to compete and play at a high level right now. And if you keep them in their positions and allow them to come together and play, they can keep. This is a defense that can keep you in games. And if the defense is able to keep you in games, Justin is able to take that next step in his second year. You're able to find another weapon for him on the outside. This is a team that can compete. Now, I'm not saying they're competing for a championship, but this does not have to be a rebuild, kind of like 3-14 team. This doesn't have to be that. This is a team that can go out there and compete. This is a division that could be wide open for you. If Aaron Rodgers isn't back, Devontae Adams leaves, this is a division that could be wide open for you. This is a team that it's not far-fetched to say they can go to the playoffs. They can beat the Lions for sure. If the Packers aren't the Packers again, then you're talking about just competing with the Vikings. This is the team that could find themselves in the postseason. Like, you don't have to tear this thing down to the studs. If that's what Poles wants to do, it's his prerogative. He can do that, fine. But he doesn't have to do that. And I think that Eddie Goldman could be one of those pieces that allows them to remain competitive in 22.
The only thing is what Shayne's going to ask you now.
Well, yeah, there's no bigger Eddie Goldman fan than this guy right here. I mean, when they drafted him, I was on the phone with Phil at the time, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be Gold. I wanted two guys, and I wanted Mario Edwards.
We got them both now.
So yeah, they got them both now. But I mean, I think Mario Edwards, if he can keep his head straight with the personal fouls and shit,
he's always
Angelo Blackson's another one.
Both of them, they come in and make plays.
You're damn right. And this team, it drives me nuts with the Bears because they get talked about like they're a 1 or a 2 win team. And I know they only won, they won 6 games, but there's a lot more talent there than people even realize. And here's the biggest difference. I believe in the quarterback. I don't know. We haven't even talked about Justin Fields.
I know.
Huge believer
in
Justin Fields.
We're over an hour.
And where he's going. I guess before we let you go.
I'm having a good time, man. We good.
Are you good?
Yeah, we good.
I wanted to make sure because Shayne, I just read your text. We're over an hour. That was 20 minutes.
I'm trying to be respectful to the guests. But
I was
just back to Eddie Goldman real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. I always question. To me, he was the kid in 7th grade that was the biggest kid. And they're like, motherfucker, you gotta play football. Look at the fucking size of you. He's like,
does he love it?
Okay, yeah. That's my question. And to me, and I know I don't like to play, psychologist here on when we're talking about these guys.
One doctor here, me.
But Dr. Phil. But I do question it openly if he loves the game. And I mean, it's $9 million if they're going to move off of him that they could come back. And I mean, at some point, this team has to make that jump where they shift some of this financial. It's so uneven. Some of it's got to go to the other side of the ball. And unfortunately,
two Eddies. Remember Crazy Eddie back in the day?
Oh yeah. Love Eddie Goldman, the talent. I don't know if he's. I
agree with Herb. If he loves the game, then he's a player that you want in your
totally.
But
can you imagine your front four of Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, a healthy Robert Quinn, and Khalil Mack? I mean,
that's foolishness.
Yeah,
that's foolishness.
Roquan
just
back
smiling.
There, let's go.
Nobody's touching me.
We could play Claudio at middle linebacker.
That's ridiculous. I think it's easy to question Eddie Goldman in terms of his commitment to the game and his desire to play the game, especially just considering that he set out a season. People who love the game don't tend to do that. You see it now at the college level, and that's more about business and getting to the next level than it is about love of the game necessarily. But at the NFL level, to see a guy kind of sit out an entire season on his own fruition, like it kind of forces you to question his desire for the game. But I'll say this for him in terms of that specifically. He came back in peak shape. Like, he didn't come back flabby and out of shape. He came back strong, ripped, lean. Like, that was a guy who wasn't just like, oh, I'm away from the game, I don't care, I'm just going to eat and sit on the couch. You could tell that he was still invested in being a world-class athlete and an elite level defensive tackle in this league. And so I think there has to be something said for the fact that he kept himself in that shape, even though he did walk away from the game for a year. I think that, nobody knew what they were dealing with when this whole virus thing broke out. Nobody understood what it was. You got different people dealing with different situations, parents, small children at home. Nobody knew. Plus, he's a 300-pound guy. There's just a lot of things going on to consider. And so I won't knock anybody who chose to make that decision, but I do think it certainly opens up the door to say, does he love it? And then even when he came back, there were questions because he came back and then he was gone. It was like, hey, are y'all talking to Eddie Goldman? And Nagy's like, no, I can't talk to him. He won't answer my call. Like, what do you mean he won't answer your call? It's weird as hell. And so, those types of things definitely force you to question, his love for the game. But when he's there, he seems to be all in and completely committed. And when he's on the field, he is a force, unlike many people in this league. And so if he wants to play ball, let him.
He's 27
yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
That's another Eddie. You got to get on the phone. It's a great point. Great point. Let's ask one more football question. Then we got to bring on Cherie for the read. And And Herb, I want you to stay with us if you're cool with it. And
I'm hanging, man. It's all good.
You get to hear Sheree.
Was weird. The
Reed just said, "Oh goddamn, he's staying for my Manscaped." Reed.
Yeah, like it's gonna be it's gonna get weird.
Hey,
hear yourself. It's gonna get weird.
It's a little
All
fun.
right.
But Justin Fields, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk anything about him. Obviously, you may have heard the interview with Dionne where Shayne and all of us basically were shocked that the Chicago Bears finally did something I think they failed to do and bring Justin Fields out there to anoint a new era of Chicago football with their quarterback. Was that what you felt too as you were covering this? And what do you think about Justin being around him?
Yeah, I think that was a really huge thing. It was really, really indicative of what they think about Justin Fields in terms of him being the face of the franchise going forward. It was something that I asked him about when he was out there. I was like, listen, what does it mean to you that, obviously they drafted him to be the face of the franchise. And, some people may say that kind of started last year, but I think it really started that day when they brought him in to kind of speak on behalf of the players and be the face of the franchise on the day when they hired announced the hiring of or introduced a new general manager and a new head coach. I think having him be there on that day spoke volumes about what they think about him and what they want him to be for this franchise going forward. And so I thought that was a really, really huge moment for him in terms of him as a person. And I don't know him personally. I've had, some brief interactions with him outside of press conferences, but I think that he's a guy who loves the game. I think that he's a guy who really wants to be great. I don't think that he gets too caught up or enamored with all of the extra things that go along with being a franchise quarterback, being one of 32. I don't think that he really embraces those things. I think that he is just about the game. He just wants to go out there and play. He wants to continue to get better. He wants to show what he can do on the football field. And I think that is where you mostly see his personality show. You don't really see it off the field. You don't really see it in press conferences. He's kind of just this kind of stoic demeanor that's kind of just always here. But on the field, that's where you see some of that energy, some of that emotion come out. You get to see him celebrating with his teammates, those types of things. And I think that I'm fine with that. I like to see that from a leader. Just be all business all the time. That's fine. I like guys who like to have fun too. I'm all for a guy that likes to get out there and have fun too. But the way he goes about his business, I commend it. I appreciate it. Now, in terms of him as a player, I still think the world of him. I still think that he has everything that you need to be an elite level quarterback in this league. He has the arm talent. He has the size. He has the athleticism. He can make plays with his feet. He can make plays inside and outside the pocket. He's shown the ability to make throws on the run outside the pocket. I think that several times throughout the season, he made like really, really elite level throws. And I don't mean just like, oh, that was a decent throw for a young kid. I mean, there's probably 5 people alive that can make some of the throws that he made. And they weren't necessarily, think about a deep ball or something like that. It was some of those throws down the seam where he's up over the linebacker, down in front of the safety, hitting Cole Kmet down the seam in Pittsburgh. Like these were elite level throws that not a lot of players can make. And I think that the more opportunities he has to do things that he's comfortable doing in front of a line that's able to protect him with explosive talent on the outside, you're only going to see him continue to get better and better and better. I saw him continue to get better earlier in his tenure with the Bears, which is about, can he learn the offense? Can he come in and just call the play in the huddle? That's a thing in and of itself just coming into the league. Can you even call the play and get to the line of scrimmage? That's step one. Once he's able to do that, okay, can he get to the line of scrimmage and diagnose what he's seeing pre-snap? Can he assess the defense pre-snap and decide what he wants to do? And that was a process for him, right? And I think that early on, you kind of saw him not being able to do that. He almost got himself decapitated in the preseason against Buffalo because he couldn't do that, right? He couldn't come up to the line of scrimmage and decide what the defense was doing pre-snap. Then you saw him get to the level, okay, well, pre-snap, I got it. I understand what I'm looking at pre-snap. I understand what we're trying to do offensively. And if we snap the ball and things go that way, I can do that. And I think the next step for him is, can he then quickly decipher what happens to him post-snap? when they come down and they show pressure and then drop into a zone, or they show zone and bring pressure and they go man. That's the next step in his development. Can he quickly discern what happens to him in terms of what changes from what he saw pre-snap to what happens post-snap? And that's the next level. Once he gets there, the game will slow down for him in a way that will allow him to not only utilize his elite level of athleticism with his speed and his ability to make plays with his feet, but also utilize his elite arm talent and say, okay, I saw this happen. Boom, I can snap and quickly make this throw down the seam, on the hash, like 22 yards, boom. Like those types of throws are the things that are going to be able to separate him. I think it's just about allowing him to get to the point where the game slows down for him. It's not ideal that he's learning a second system in 2 years. That's not ideal, but I don't think that he's necessarily that you're reset. I don't think he's going to go through another rookie year. I'm not giving him that excuse, right? I think that I'm not giving him that cop out. So he's going to go through another rookie year. No, I'm not with that. Not another rookie year. Now you still got to learn a new system. I can appreciate the nuance of that, but not another rookie year to where you kind of go, how do I call the play? How do I go to the line of scrimmage? No, it's still about trying to quickly decipher what happens to you post-snap and finding those answers. And then when he's able to do that, I think he'll take off and be truly, truly one of the elite. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 best players, quarterbacks in the league.
Well, it was a testament to the football player that he was in a school of neglect. That's just what it was. Once it started for me, as Shayne will tell you, I was the first guy out there to call Matt Nagy out for what he is and what he was. And my fear with Justin was being involved. And the first sign was the non-open competition, because I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care how much you promise somebody who you're paying $10 million to be a starter. A football coach's job is to get the best out of the 53 guys that are playing there. And if that means we're going to have a competition with an unknown, learning at the same time, that's only going to further make that player a better football player, a better leader, a better, understanding of the game, to what you were talking about. He was so behind and he was neglected, almost abused. We had to call child services almost for this guy because of what transpired here. And I'm not kidding. So you could see in his body language how held back he was from where he was at Ohio State to where he came to with Matt Nagy's Santa's sleigh. Let's run the T. Let's be a gimmick. Let's take David Montgomery out after he hit 17 yards, put another guy's like over, and everything stupid. It was football abuse. That's right, HL, my boy, HL Priest. It was football abuse, and we're excited to see the new Justin Fields. Last clip I want to play is Coach Eberflus, and then we're going to come back with Cherie Lady Bear. And then we'll go to shout outs after that and keep Herb with us. The crowd has spoken. Keep Herb. You see the comments, Herb. We have almost 375. We have 375 live listeners right now. Smash that like button. Smash that. Perennial repeat guest, Herb rocking the truth. If you're a truck driver listening to the show, you could follow Herb at Herb Howard 411. I didn't even need the text up there to get this. But here's Coach Eberflus talking Herb, cars, Shayne, and my language. Let's listen to this.
Yeah, you look at the tape. So as a coach, your resume is the tape. That's just the way it is. You want to know how.
That's it. The resume. I've said this over and over, Herb. The team is a reflection of the head coach. That's it. And if it's going to be full speed hustle all the time, that better be consistent every time. And I'm hoping that's the foundation. That's where we're throwing the anchor out of the football Chicago Bears boat. That's where it's got to be. And hopefully that will continue. Do you believe in Eberflus right now? I think you're with us. I tell every fan, and you tell me if I'm wrong, you're allowed to go like this. You've suffered. Do you believe in Ted Phillips and George McCaskey?
Show me. That's where I'm at. Show me.
I'm excited because I like everything that's being spoken, but I'm still here, Herb. Show me now. Show me that this is what it's going to be. And I think that's fair. That's fair. Are you with me?
I'm in the same exact spot. Like I don't know. And people are like, hey, do you think they got it right this time? I have no idea. How am I supposed to know? I have no idea if they got it right. As soon as they hired Poles and Eberflus, I was like, oh, okay, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't excited about it. So, at least I wasn't upset because they could have done something that was like, oh my God. Like I wasn't that, right?
Leslie Frazier would have given me.
Yeah, that would have been like, really? You know what I mean? So, I wasn't upset. I wasn't excited. So I'm in full wait and see mode. I can see plenty of scenarios where this thing works out really, really well. You got a defensive guy who comes in, recognizes that he has some pieces in place to implement his system, and they go out there and they're able to keep this team in games. I think that and we don't know what pieces are going to be retained, but if they keep the pieces kind of the ones that we know about, and then, add here or there through the draft or whatever, I think this is a defense that can keep you in games and keep opposing offenses at 20 points or below. Now, can you go get 20? Can you go get 21? And if you can do that, again, you have an opportunity to win most of the games on your schedule. At least an opportunity. I'm not saying they're going to win most of the games on their schedule, but they will have an opportunity to be in those games. And so I think that this thing could potentially go well. Now, what does Luke Getsy do on the offensive side of the ball? Does he utilize David Montgomery? Does he try to throw the ball all around the yard 40, 50 times a game? I don't know. Sometimes that may be the winning formula. Throw the ball 40 times. Sometimes running the ball 40 times may be the winning formula. If he's willing to adapt his game plan on a weekly basis to say, this gives us the best chance to win this week, this gives us the best chance to win that week, then the Bears could potentially, be in a position where they can win. So I think that this thing, it could work out. It could not. I'm not willing to stumble on the table and say, hey, great hire. I'm also not willing to throw it in the trash and say they completely blew it. I'm going to wait and see. I think it could work out. I think it could blow up. I have no idea.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope
if
there's
we got the right people. I hope that is hope.
That's where we're at. We hope that there's hope. But speaking of hope, this lady.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
You made it, Cherie. You're on the air. Listen, where's my music for her?
Oh, Lord.
Where did Shayne? Shayne bounced. Listen, if you're at home listening to TTNL, you're riding on the train, you got your earbuds in, or whatever you have, you know this part of the show. It's that overnight schmooze.
I couldn't miss this.
With Cherie.
I'm sorry.
Reading Manscaped. Listen, we got to pay the bills here. No pressure on you, Cherie. Do you have it in you tonight? That's what she said. That's what he said. That's what she said. I don't know. I'm glad you caught it, Cherie.
Oh my gosh.
Pressure's on, Cherie.
All right, Cherie.
Y'all got me doing this with a guest.
Well, that's fine.
Herb's gonna judge you after your performance.
He said his girlfriend's not in town, so do your thing, girl.
Have at it, Cherie. Don't mind me. I'm not even here.
I told you it was going to get weird, Herb. I completely washed my hands of what happens from this moment forward.
Now's your chance, Cherie.
I need to be front row for this. You got this, Cherie.
Here it is, right
you got
here.
This, Cherie.
Right after this rolls, you do your thing, girl.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
Clap if you're excited about the new Manscaped. Let's go ahead and clap up for the new Manscaped launch. Today, I'm excited to announce their brand new Ultra Premium collection. Believe it or not, they're moving above the bikini line. I'm talking about upgrading the man in your life's hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man that covers him from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Help him join the 4 million men worldwide who look great and smell great thanks to Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports. We all know what a game changer the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 has been for trimming below the waist. Thought. And now you can enhance his perfect grooming routine with their ultra premium collection. The package includes the package that you're buying, not your package. The package includes Manscaped premium deodorant. No, not for his balls. Say goodbye to his smelly armpit hugs. This deodorant dries clear, is aluminum free, and smells like their signature scent. Hydrating body moisturizer is great for tattoos and issues with dry skin. It's designed to keep skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. The body wash is lather him up with your 2-in-1 with your infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gel. They have a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, a nourishing and luxurious 2-in-1 far above the rest, infused with sea kelp and coconut water. Plus, a free gift. Yes, you get a free gift with this package, which is a 3-pack set of lip balm that's made with ingredients like vitamin E, peppermint, and eucalyptus oil to keep those lips feeling moist. No cracked lips. Can't be kissing with cracked lips. A lip balm so good you're guaranteed to steal 1 or 2 from his set. These 4 products plus the gift inside the Ultra Premium Collection. All of these products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free.
Yes!
Not only good for him, but good for you and the environment. Yes. The best ingredients with zero compromise. I recommend using the products in this order. First, hop in the shower and scrub up that body with the Manscaped.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
2, lather his luscious locks with the 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. 3, dry off and spray on the hydrating body moisturizer to invigorate dry skin. 4, put on the Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. And 5, pop that Manscaped lip balm on. No more kissing, chat lips. Get dressed after is optional. 1 great scent all day long. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at manscaped.com. That's plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at manscaped.com. The only smell you'll want on him in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped.
Cherie. Girl's becoming a superstar.
Really?
Superstar. Cherie. Those vegan balls. Even the vegan balls are getting love.
No excuses.
Listen, put in the promo code ShyCitySports. Get free shipping. Where's that graphic? There it is. 20% off plus free shipping. ShyCitySports. That's our girl, Lady Bear. Follow her at Lady Bear 83 on Twitter. Give it up for Lady Bear.
Also single, right? Sure, we got to put that out there.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Mod on. Yes, mod on. She's single. I can't believe she's single.
I know.
Ready to mingle. Shy City Sports promo code. Put it in 20%.
She's obviously very patient, so every man should understand that.
That's the longest read ever. Like, can they condense
I
it
sent her
down?
like the 3-page version. We just haven't told her yet.
Lip balm, body wash, armpits, vegan balls, all of it.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some, this single show is at its end, but for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Audio Shayne getting nervous, cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say to get the shot of vital. But hurry up, cause the postman's getting homicidal.
Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real. Spencer Strong.
There it is. Shout outs. You know, everybody's in the house. There he is. Someone muted my boy Herb during the Manscaped read. Yes, Jackal can't whisper. Go ahead. Let's hear your whisper, Jackal.
Sweaty balls.
Oh, that's better. You're getting better. Herb, last time he leans in. She's reading the read. He's like, sweaty balls.
Hey, just like the minivan cars.
No edibles were harmed in the
recording of that. We got a whole crew tonight.
Full barn.
Shout outs. This is the best part of the show for some people. When we banter back and forth, we take some time out of our lives to appreciate people in our lives, or you, the fans, you could jump in the shout outs as well. But we always kick it off with our lady of the house, Lady Bear, who, did you see Lady Bear's? Did we upload that? Someone, Jackal, maybe you can upload Lord Hans. That's Lord
I love
Hans. Lord Hans.
Well, Shayne.
I know we had our new graphic guy, Corey Kennedy. I'm gonna shout him out in my show.
Hard at work.
Hard at work. You saw Herb. He did a great picture of you and keep it at 100.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Corey Kennedy, new guy on TTNL. Got to shout him out. I will shout him out later and where he's at, as we say. But Cherie, he did a picture of you as well. You did two. You're the only one that got two pictures. One you were 9. The other one you were all grown up. Speaking of grown up, are you ready for your shout out? Do you have any shout outs?
Of course I do.
Perfect.
So,
Manscaped.
Shout out to Manscaped for keeping me employed. No.
Excuse me.
Want to shout out, I know I shouted him out Riley last week, but I forgot to text you to tell him happy birthday. So I do want to shout him out again. I hope he enjoyed his birthday.
He did.
And shout out to you guys that I know everybody's going through stuff. So just know that I'm keeping you all in my prayers. I have my prayer list every night. So you guys are at it because I know everybody's dealing with something. So shout out to you guys for dealing with your home life and still being able to come on and enjoy yourself on the show. And I have fun with you guys. So appreciate that. Shout out to the fans that's always showing love and support. And Shayne did do a good job. I know I wasn't active in the comments last night, but I was listening. So Shayne did do a good job last night on Adam Rain.
Thank you.
So shout out to him.
Look at that. The network that keeps it real.
Hey, who know about them pizza puffs? All right, Shot Northside. Shout out to you for mentioning pizza puffs. Yes, I do love pizza puffs.
You are a Pizza Puffs fan?
Put that back up there so everybody can send you some stuff.
Guy Northside throwing you under the bus. Pizza puffs. I've never had a pizza puff.
Oh, you're missing out. Yeah.
It's a Chicago hood, straight hood.
You got to get with a pizza puff.
When we come to Chicago again,
Put some mouse sauce on.
Herb, we haven't next year when you're invited to the TTNL party. Because this year we this past year we turned out, then we had a tailgate. So we got to get Herb in the house with us this year, and I will go get the pizza puffs. Shayne will be there too.
Yeah,
we'll compare it to New Haven pizza. If you ever get on the East Coast, we're taking you, Herb, to New Haven, Connecticut, for the taste that is the best pizza in the world. We'll just leave it at that.
I doubt it, but I will pull up for it though.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun. I'm gonna film you. Well, if you do, I would love it. I'm waiting for Big Steve Edwards, Chris Zorich, also on our network, former Bear, Hall of college football Hall of Famer,
Notre Dame for sure.
Notre Damer. Shayne, always go ahead, Shayne.
Nobody cares about Notre Dame.
We'll try the pizza puffs. Cars.
Hey, Ryan Rizzle, do not disrespect me like that, bro. Do not disrespect me like that,
bro. Herb's doubting it, Logan, but then when he does have it, we'll get the initial reaction. And I've taken now 2 people from Indiana, 2 families from Indiana.
Herb, what's your thoughts on people from Indiana? Are they from Chicago?
I've never had a thought about a person from Indiana.
That's it. Great. You're good.
That's it. Mike, drop.
Nah, you get people from like Hammond and Gary, and they claim you whatever they want to claim, but nah, that's
the region.
Nah.
The region,
right.
Chicago.
Huh?
Is
Have
the
you ever
region
heard of
Chicago?
the region?
Nah, I've heard of Chicago.
So you guys gotta understand, no one in Chicago has heard of the region.
That's what I keep trying to tell them.
That's not a thing.
It's
like
not,
that's
no.
an Indiana thing. That's not a Chicago thing. So you go to someone from the Chicago or any of the suburbs, you're like, where are you from? I'm from the region. They're gonna be like,
Where is that?
I don't. Is that like near Champaign? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, this is getting personal for the region peeps out there. Listen, I will just say the only fact that I know is the region apparently.
Yeah, I don't want your fake rags talking. Nobody
I'm just
cares.
it's
But
not
it's not.
it's a science fact. You should appreciate science.
Not
think it's
when it's
science.
made up. This is like flat Earth science. It's just not
They
real.
changed their time zone in that area to accompany.
Yes.
They let me do what I had to do.
I know. He's got to do what he's got to do. Speaking of do what you got to do, cars. You have a shout out.
My shout out are to my 2 little girls who this week have been killing it in gymnastics and have taken over. Is a little thing, but my youngest did a handstand for 10 seconds this week, which is fairly impressive. That's so. Those girls are killing it, and they are keeping me and my wife extremely busy. So Aubrey and Maisie, amazing job this week. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's the juice, baby. Yo, I feel the juice in my mouth. Yo, the juice in your ass.
Could we not? When I heard like 7 and 5-year-old, could we really not go that way?
Fuck yourself. Great timing.
Joel,
such great timing.
Man, I'm usually the asshole. I had nothing.
One of y'all is a savage for that. Like, what's wrong with y'all?
Look at the guy in the corner.
It must be somebody who's from the region. Fuck that noise.
Drop
Wow.
the air,
Wow.
over there.
Wow.
I was like, I was even looking down on my face. I'm like, did I just fucking do that? I'm like, that wasn't me.
Claudio the Barber.
Yes.
Anyone to shout out?
Yes,
bro?
of course. I mean, first of all, all of you guys. I mean, this is a break from reality for all of us. I mean, the whole world obviously right now needs a break from fucking reality. So, but yeah. So shout out to my girls and my little one, especially Alicia. She's been going through some stuff past couple of weeks. Reason why I wasn't here last week. So she's doing good, but just shout out to her, and that's about it.
There you
for
go.
me tonight.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
From the Paisan, the barber. He's back.
Must have been at the top of your fucking class.
Yeah, he wasn't. I'll tell you that. I know. Let's go. Herb, our guest of honor tonight. Herb Howard.
Just two shout outs. I want to shout out my whole team over at the Biggs Media. First and foremost to Eugene and Terrence, co-founding that thing and then bring me on to it. The whole team over there, everybody does a phenomenal job. So shout out to the Biggs Media. And then secondly, shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all so much. First and foremost for everything y'all have done and continue to do in terms of Bears coverage. It's informative, it's entertaining. Y'all keep it 100 all the time. Like, no pun intended. Like, y'all keep it a buck for real. So shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on. Shout out to y'all entire support base and everybody that's rocking with y'all. I've appreciated being on. I've enjoyed it. So just shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you're not going anywhere because we still have one favor to ask, but I wanted to make sure we got your shout outs.
Yeah.
Because every guest that we have, their first time, as Claudio said, tonight was your cherry popping on TTNL.
Yeah, I kept hearing that like throughout the day. Like, I was gonna pop my cherry. I was like, hey, y'all funny as hell.
Dude, you were like that kid when the cheerleaders hold that banner up for the team to run out. You just ran right through that. You're like, I'm in. Like, we didn't need to haze you. You're a part of this family.
That was awesome.
Yes, you tackled Jackal probably.
Y'all found
But yes, we need a read from you, Herb Howard.
For sure, I got you.
You got it. You know what I'm saying, and you're keeping it 100 on the team. Never mind. So that's gonna come up next. Jackal, you got a shout out.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. It's been a long 2 weeks over in the household. I appreciate all the well wishes from everybody checking in on Conrad and the fam. He's actually doing pretty well. We had a really positive doctor's appointment this afternoon. He's going to be able to do a lot of the things he loves to do, just, some breaks and shit like that. But we're on the right track. Everything's looking good. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody that was hitting me up and just sending positivity and love. So shout out my wife too, dealing with all four of the boys in the house has been fucking crazy. So, yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys. And Herb, you're fucking the man. Thank you for coming on tonight. It's been a pleasure sitting back and listening and watching the three of you chop it up and let Carr sit there and play video games.
I appreciate it. I received that. Thank you.
Jackal is our producer. I know at the end of the show, those of you who haven't seen it, we're gonna run out with the Jackal.
And thank you for the fucking song, Phil.
Yes, that's your new. You got to work on your segment now. But he does do shit. He's our scheduler. He's wrangling guests. You already have some teasers you could throw out there real quick, Jackal.
You got Kevin Fishbane coming on and Dan Weeder.
Shout out to Fish, that's my man.
Yeah, we got a couple guys in the guys in the cooker.
We got to get Jason Leisure since Herb is.
He got emailed today, just so you know, Herb. He got emailed.
Maybe Herb can make.
Jason Leisure is a good. I'll text him right now, and I'll text him right now. I'll text him right now.
Leave the Reed and the Rebele off. Like, they're really down to earth guys. Nothing weird happens at all. Like, it's just all above table.
As Dionne and Grody had told me, they all know you guys. So I know. So hopefully, I like Leisure for real. Leisure actually presses some buttons that I like to see. I don't always agree with Jason now. And that'll be fun to debate some of these topics. But I respect Jason Leisure, and not just because you're here. I don't blow smoke.
Yeah, no, that's my man. He don't care. Like, he go whatever his angle is, he coming at it. Now, whether you agree with him or not, he coming with his angle. He's not holding no punches. So Jason is definitely my man. I'll definitely tell him that, you know, he need to come on. It's a good time for sure.
Well, I can't thank you enough, but I'm gonna give Shayne his shout outs. Then I'm gonna shout out. Then you're gonna do the read, and then we're gonna rock out of here. Shayne.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short and sweet. Gonna shout out my mom. She started her chemo yesterday. Whooped her ass. Been a real struggle today for her. 82 years young and never been sick, and it's awful. I didn't think that I would be back in this position already, you know, going through it with my son last fall, but here we are again, but we fight it head on, you know, just like we do with this network. And just wanted to give her a little bit of a shout out. As crazy as we are on this show, she tunes in and watches them all, and a little bit surprised by some of the stuff sometimes, but hey, welcome to 2022, Mom. But love you, and keep that strength because you're gonna need it.
Well said, bro. Well said.
Crying a lot, I can't find a hole.
There's my dad. But really well said. I appreciate everybody on this network, and I really have, you know, I talk the most. I'm not afraid. I'm not bashful.
No.
I have a lot of pride, a lot of passion for this thing being fixed. And I said it earlier in the introduction of Herb, you're our sword, and to fight to get this stuff right, it makes us scratch our heads that this stuff could even be this difficult for them to figure it out, but yet and still it is. So I want to really shout you out for obviously coming on the show, but really keeping it 100 and staying right in the lanes of understanding what we do here. But also, I got nothing but respect for you. I got more respect, even I didn't think I could, but now I have even more respect. There's like a bond, a brotherhood when we have these guests that come on that really show who their true colors are, how they're raised, how they carry themselves. And I've always been around a lot of people that, you know, hoity-toity put their noses up when they think that they're in a position. And I've never been like that. Like, I've never judged the chat. I don't look if somebody has a blue check mark next to them for their football acumen. I look at their voice, their persona, and you knocked it out of the park, as Jackal said tonight. And I wanted to give you a special shout out like that. That's from my heart. I so appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Pleasure was all man. All man.
Dionne Miller.
You guys want us to drop off so you can
No.
Hold on.
I said this last show, I'll say it again. I think in today's day and age, as Claudio's saying, obviously politics
Claudio's got
aside,
his finger on the button.
you got to share, especially as men, you got to love one another. Everybody's struggling. And to show love is kind of this indictment of weakness. And I told my wife, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not the guy at the bar talking shit about my wife. I've lost a lot of friends because of that, because my life wasn't miserable, that I actually have a best friend that I married, and I've lost friends from that. I'm there to support people. I'm not there to brag about my life. I want to have a friendship, and you really find out who your friends are. Same thing on this show. I never mince words. Everybody knew once you said maybe David's not elite. I could see the chat and people fluttering. They know me. I'll never change. I'm always going to speak the truth. And I think it's important that we do love each other as men to support one another. There's plenty of room in this Bears world for everybody to analyze and be respected. That's all. So I wanted to say this. So I wanted to share the love for Herb for what he's doing, getting put into the fire and really handling it well. So anyway.
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie. Hands down the easiest way to butter your corn on the cob on a hot summer day. Simply grab yourself a fresh stick of butter and using our patent pending firm.
You were given the opportunity to do a more expansive search. Would you have done it?
I was given the opportunity. I found him.
Hey, I found him. Actually, barely.
I knew that was coming.
I got one more shout out for the webcams chat that fucking kept me and Jackal and fucking on our toes.
I even got a couple of them.
Shout out to you.
Block
Thank you.
those guys. Holy shit.
We were all over it. Fucking
trying to invade.
Hard,
Quick
man.
draw Cherie was like fucking boom, boom, boom.
That Manscaped Cherie.
If anybody got blocked in the process, I apologize.
I think that the bot heard Blog Boys and thought it was Hot Boys. It was like,
oh, that's what.
Oh,
You gotta
shit. Okay,
Blog Boys can fuck off. Anyway, Dionne Miller, amazing person, human being, mom, and reporter. She's keeping it 100. She's already DM'd me. Guys, I'm serious. Send me your question. I'll make sure I ask the TTNL question. That, to me, we've always wanted that. And Herb was going to be a guy, too, to do that. And that's really, it means a lot to have this kind of network and friendships and enough room for everybody. So I want to shout her. She was working tonight. And we didn't even get into the combine and all this stuff. We had so much Bear stuff to talk about. And we're going to continue to do that. But last shout out, obviously, to my family, my wife, my kids. We're in the middle of we sold the house. Now we're trying to find a house. So it's been crazy. So I thank and appreciate all you fans for the positive energy. You've seen it. This segment is called Spencer Strong and Riley Strong for a reason. And Spencer's still fighting that battle versus cancer. That's what this is about. In all seriousness, somebody's out there fighting. You guys, I saw Cameron Beige.
Yeah, he's home, man.
He's home. He's
fucking
fighting.
awesome.
All of you guys have that. And I just want to say thank you to the 100 crew, the TTNL heads that go out there on every show, every press conference. Someone sent me a screenshot. It's like TTNL for life, TTNL during their pressers.
Oh, it's always in there, man. It's
So
amazing.
it's so amazing. And you guys, you fans, there's too many of you to shout out. I want to shout out those super fans that like HL Priest that take the show, take a screenshot and say, Herb Howard was so dope. Go check it out. Like your word of mouth travels to other Bears fans, and that matters to me. So thank you guys, all of you that do that. My last shout out is to Corey Kennedy from Lexington, Kentucky, for making all these amazing graphics that he made and stuff for the network. And I'm excited about having him as a part of it. Anyway, don't play that, Shayne. I see it up there, you asshole. Unbelievable. Jesus. He's taking out the nuclear bomb for Herb.
Look at mom.
Can't Herb
gold right now, Shane. I like it.
Can he be on 2 shows before he brought that one out? Jesus. Herb. Shayne brought that out. Last thing of the night.
Oh boy.
Is the read.
Yeah, for sure. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Shayne, we could drop out that music.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. And I'll count you down when you're ready. You know what you have?
Yeah, I'm good.
Say?
I'm ready.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, he's a pro.
Prepared, Jackal.
Fucking
All
pro.
right, 3, 2, 1.
What's good? I'm Herb Howard with the Bigs Media, and I'm keeping it 100 with the Tape Never Lies Network.
Goddamn kilogram. Look at this.
Out of the park.
Akeem Hicks, it took him 13 takes. Chris Dorich had to write notes. Notre Dame education, Chris?
Zorich did have to write notes. That's no bullshit.
Wait a second.
Come on
Wish
now.
We had that clip of Chris. It's not on the script. When he hit that, I know. It's not on the
Wrote it in
script.
crayon, didn't he?
Give me some fucking names.
I'm trying to give you names. Anyway, great show tonight. 2 big guests. Herb killed it. I totally agree. Everyone stick on. Hopefully, here we go. We're going to end the show with how we start their new segment, Chris Jackal. Next week, the Chris Jackal don't do shit, even though he's
Motherfuckers.
working hard to get guests. We'll see.
Amen.
Everybody, have a great weekend. Listen, we'll be covering the Combine. Draft Mob will be this Sunday. X's with the O's. We'll be breaking down Alec Ogletree and Bilal Nichols. Do we want to keep these guys? Let's look at the tape. Let's decide then. Alec Ogletree and Bilal Nichols will be X's with the O's Saturday. Draft Mob. Shayne, what's the football player that's coming on live this weekend? The center from Missouri.
Yeah.
Center from Missouri.
Jesus.
Logan Frost might know his name. One of you guys said his name earlier. But anyway, I apologize.
Yeah,
I don't
George
know.
set that one up.
George set another guest up. George and Jackal are competing her. Who can get the most guests? Who gets the best guess right now?
One guy with no connection coming at you.
George set the bar high. That's all I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
Jackal. George set the bar high tonight. Just want to say that.
Did.
Oh,
Yes.
Herb, believe me,
Yes.
Herb. I'm not. I know it's big shoes to fill, man. I gotta step the game up.
I
Believe me.
love her.
Little humble brag.
I appreciate it. It's give me that motivation.
Jackals. Let's see if Fishbane brings it for Jackal.
Hey, if we could get Dan over at the
Work that ass for daddy. Is Fishbane gonna handle that one?
Hey, Fish kind of look like dude. Actually, he kind of look like.
Hey, oh, baby, bring that fat ass over here. I want to get it in my mouth. I want to get it in my mouth.
Now
That's
I
how
see him.
the intro.
That's Kevin Fishbane.
Up next,
Herb, you
on
ever,
the Hogan
Herb,
John
you ever
podcast.
see that dude? You know who that dude is? You ever see him?
I have. At first, I didn't recognize him at first, but I have seen a couple of his videos. Dude,
He was
that's
on
next level.
Sway, right?
Yeah,
And he was freestyling on there. I was like, holy
dude, he sold out Madison Square Garden.
Really?
Has. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
He
Yep.
sold out all of Europe.
Yeah.
Some
I'm in the
friend of
wrong
my-
business.
Some
Yeah.
friend of my wife's was in like Springfield, Mass, and he was in like a not a shitty bar, but like just a bar. And he brought his keyboard out and started playing. Everyone was like, who the fuck is this guy? And she was like, by
Mark
the end of the
motherfucking
night, the
Rebel.
whole place was like dancing, having a blast with him just making up songs about people in the audience. So I was like, damn, it was like 45 minutes away. I wish I was there to witness Mark Rebele. Just a surprise show. Anyway, we have some pop-up shows. I got to thank you once again. We'll see you guys next Wednesday night. Chris, who do we have next Wednesday? Jackal. Man
Come
of
on,
few
Jackal.
words.
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jackal better do some shit. Jackal better do some shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit now. Jackal don't do shit.